Storey in the building. Rob Simmons here, signing on for the Professional Fanatics, live at 10:30 p.m. Central on a Wednesday. It's Tuesday. I never know the fucking day. That was a terrible intro. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Your hair looks pretty good today.
I need a haircut. It's getting a little out of control. I don't want to take the time to go out and get a haircut.
You got the little, 5 o'clock shadow going?
Yeah, I haven't shaved in a while either. I did shower today, so no worries there. I had meetings all day long, but this has got to come off. I got to get a haircut. I got to get an oil change. I got a lot. It's summer. I'm slacking a lot.
It's because you're putting too much time into the show.
It's a lot of it, but we're all in this together.
Dude, why don't you just go with a mustache? One of these times. It would
really
look fucking great. No, it's not your style at all, but it would people that know you, people on the show, everyone would be like, what the fuck? What happened to Storey? Is he into like porn now or something? Like, is he into softcore porn? Is he in the acting business?
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to
Kingpin. Do it. You should do it. Dude, I like to fuck up my facial hair all the time, but I guess I'm a little more of a goofy character than you. You're a little more straight edge than me, but that's why it'd be beautiful if you did it. We got J-Bob in here, says, what's the theme of today's show? The theme of today's show is old players. Panic meter. We're going to break down our concern level with the age of some of these players. We have a list of 10 guys, and we're going to talk about, are we concerned about their play dropping off, injury risks? When is the age cliff? Because it happens. It happens fast. And a lot of these guys, besides Aaron Rodgers, who's kind of in there for an all-encompassing thing about the Steelers in general. No one's really starting Aaron Rodgers in fantasy, but it's going to affect DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, Jalen Warren, all those guys. The rest of the dudes are all drafted pretty high, man. I think Travis Kelce is the lowest drafted player on this list. He is still a starting tight end, dude.
Yeah, and he will be fairly safe for your fantasy team, but there's a lot of red flags when it comes to these older tight ends. They fall off a cliff hard and fast. It is a punishing position, and those move tight ends, their steam goes away. The guys that play well into their late 30s, your Antonio Gateses your
Tony Gonzalez.
Is like those guys are built differently. We have already seen guys like TJ Hockenson, who's in his early 30s, just completely fall off a cliff.
No, what the fuck you bringing? TJ Hockenson is 28 years old, bro. 29. He's not in his early 30s. You think he's in his early 30s because his play last couple years, but dude, please take that back. Can we strike that? Fine. We're starting over the show. We have some technical difficulties. We're starting over the show, and you're going to glaze TJ Hockenson for a solid 5 minutes. Could you fill up 5 minutes of airtime glazing TJ Hockenson?
TJ Hockenson is horrendous. He's a horrendous pick, and you wouldn't.
Whoa! He's a horrendous pick at tight end 22.
Yeah, I said it.
You also said Tucker Kraft was terrible last year at his ADP. I said that because you did say that.
I came around on that.
Yeah, you came around. It took a month and a half of me talking about him like I'm talking about Hockenson. It sounds like you're not going to come around on TJ. That's not happening, right?
It's probably not going to happen. Let's just say that.
You just don't give me the benefit of the doubt. What's going on here? You don't tail all my bets. You question my deep tight end guys. How many of these guys do I have to hit in a row? Is it three? Maybe
three would be, yeah. Let's say three, and then we'll go from there. That sound good?
All right. Yeah. John, this is all of us rocking porn Dirk Diggler stashes. Yes. I love Boogie Nights. What a great movie.
That is a good movie.
You know what? Stole a lot of stuff from Goodfellas, though. There's a lot of stolen stuff from Goodfellas in terms of the way it's shot. I love Paul Thomas Anderson, though, but definitely, definitely some stuff he's stealing from some of the GOATs. But you know what? That's what life's all about, right? Stealing from other people.
Yeah, if you're not stealing, what are you doing?
We're not stealing. We keep all this stuff original, man.
I'm saying if you're not stealing, what are you doing?
All right. Let's get into the meat of the show. Shout out to Hetzer, who was the first one in here. We got to give some kind of award to the first one in here every day because they used to be Mark every show. I got to do something. I got to figure out something to give back to the first person in here each day. Maybe I send you a picture of my wife in lingerie or something.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, let's start off with a stat of the day. Pretty interesting one here. It's actually just kind of a graph or some stats here. Catchable target rate in 2025 versus new quarterbacks. So these are guys with new quarterbacks. So Mike Evans has the best because Baker was downright awful last year after the injury. Justin Jefferson, this is with Kyler, which, you wouldn't think Kyler's a big upgrade, but apparently it is. A.J. Brown going to Drake May. Drake London, that's with Tua. Jalen Waddle, obviously going away from Tua. And then the guys in the bottom, though, we see Wan'Dale Robinson all the way to the bottom there, minus 13.7%, and Michael Pittman. So I want to talk about the guys at the extremes here. Wan'Dale Robinson is a guy that I feel like people think is really safe. 80 catches back-to-back years. He's going into a pretty nice situation in terms of like volume, but the marriage between Wan'Dale and Cam Ward, like the play styles, at least what we saw Cam Ward as a rookie, and then some of what we saw in college, doesn't seem like a good fit, right? Like he is an erratic guy. He's not really an on-time passer. He wants to extend the play and almost play like Josh Allen. And Wan'Dale is a guy that needs to be a technician, those quick hitters. You think it's going to work, or are you concerned with that stat with Wan'Dale?
I'm concerned with that in general. I think one productive season when there's no other viable pass catcher in New York does not a successful fantasy career make. It was great. It was a great mid-season pickup last year, but the numbers do not bear out that he is an elite fantasy option or even a week-to-week viable fantasy option. Again, if he's the only game in town, more power to him, but that's not the case anymore. I know that he got a connection with Dayball and all that kind of stuff, but there's other talent around him that should – I just don't think it's going to be he's going to be dropped by week 2 in most leagues.
So right now he is going closer to Calvin Ridley in ADP than he is Carnell Tate. Do you think it should be the other way around? He should be going closer to Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin Ridley is underrated. I know in redraft, like, what's the point? But in these best ball leagues, like, Calvin Ridley is going to be on the field. He's a borderline all-pro player, at least, used to be, and not the oldest guy in the world. So, like, he should be going closer to Calvin Ridley, right, than he is to Carnell Tate?
Yeah, I think so. But again, people remember the end of last season, and they're not necessarily. Although I take that back because look at where Egbuka's going relative to the end of his last season.
What about Mike Evans? We're going to talk about Mike Evans here. I just want to talk about the quarterback change before we talk about the age cliff. He had a nice connection with Baker, but then all the stuff in the second half coming back, he was having like 3 catches on 11 targets, stuff like that. And then A.J. Brown. So is this a big boom for both these guys, specifically A.J. Brown? Because Jalen Hurts has just been bad. I know you love Jalen Hurts, but like as a passer on big boy routes, he's just been bad. So Drake May has been amazing at those routes that Jalen Hurts struggles at. So I've not been drafting a lot of A.J. Brown. I feel like the cost, like give me Drake London over A.J. Brown all day, but people are now taking A.J. Brown over Drake London.
Yeah, but you have to consider the offense here. Like I'm willing to throw aside some individual metrics when it comes to the offense. How many scoring opportunities is Drake London realistically going to have versus A.J. Brown, who will be the primary target in the red zone, as well as the after the catch guy, the deep field guy? I love Drake London. He's an amazing talent. It's going to be a really concentrated target tree. But the fact of the matter is, if you were looking up the number of touchdowns, passing touchdowns that Drake May is projected to throw versus what's his name?
Tua and Penix. Yeah. If you add those up.
Yeah. So, catchable target rate tends to regress year in and year out. So it doesn't really bother me too much. I guess I'm more bullish on A.J. Brown in the situation than you are.
So in a half PPR, I understand. I know you're going to say this doesn't matter, but half PPR, I understand A.J. Brown over Drake London, even though Drake London's been a pretty prolific touchdown scorer. In full PPR, though, like A.J. Brown's not catching 110 passes. It's just not the way this offense works. It's not the way A.J. Brown functions anymore. Drake London should be a 110 catch player. That should even it out, right? Like Drake London's target share and just he's a better player right now than A.J. Brown. Can we go there first? He is a better player right now than A.J. Brown, right?
No, dude. Let's think. I mean, I don't want to put enough. I don't want to put any stock into how bad the offense looked last year because of a particular individual. So I'm willing to give everybody a mulligan for last year, including A.J. Brown. He didn't want to be there. Nobody wanted to play for that clown there. So I would say they're pretty much on par. The difference is, though, like if London gets another 30% target share, he's guaranteed to be a wide receiver 1. Absolutely guaranteed. A.J. Brown's going to have to do it less volume, more efficiency, more touchdowns, right? Which I think can happen, but I understand where you're coming from because the volume's going to be there for Drake London.
We got Connor in here. We have Derek in here. We have Blake. The boys are in. The boys are back. What's going on, guys? Let's get to some we got some juicy news here. Let's get to some news.
Guys, I've got news. I've got terrible news.
So this is exactly what I wanted a vacation from.
There are 2 guys in this church that are gay.
Who's the other guy?
I don't get the joke.
Yeah, he's never gonna understand.
What's wrong with that?
He might hold in. Did you read this? And
No,
this is concerning, and it makes sense. He's on his last year of he makes $13 million this year, which is decent, but it's 7th amongst running backs. He's 27 years old. Like, he's got one big payday left. If he plays out this contract and a lame duck contract and he gets hurt, Jonathan, with his injury history, he is not getting paid, $20 million a year like these other guys are getting paid. So this makes sense. Also, you go back and look at what they did with paying Alec Pierce an egregious amount of money. They're paying Sauce Gardner that money that the Jets paid him. Like, they paid Daniel Jones all this money. Like, Jonathan Taylor's done more for this franchise than all those guys combined. Guy's been the entire team, the heart and soul of the team. And he's like, I want mine. And he deserves his after last year in particular. So currently he makes $700,000 more than Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love hasn't played a snap in the NFL. He literally makes $1 million more than Alvin Kamara. Like, bro, Jonathan Taylor needs to get paid. They're going to pay him. Are you concerned about drafting Jonathan Taylor? I mean, I guess we're going to know about this when we do our redrafts, but if he does hold in, we saw this with Terry McLaurin last year. We're seeing it with Debo, saw it with Ayuk. Like, these guys tend to get hurt, have slow starts. You already have an issue with Daniel Jones coming back from the Achilles. Like, a lot of question marks there. If he's not in camp, I know he's a consummate pro, and I'm not too worried about him as an individual being in shape, but it's concerning. I don't want to hear this shit.
Yeah, do we have any recent examples of running backs that have held in and have underproduced? We have several examples of wide receivers that we've seen, but I'm trying to think of
Le'Veon Bell riding jet skis and not playing.
Okay. But he held out for an entire year, and then he transferred to one of the worst run organizations in sports. So,
I think I have a clip of Le'Veon Bell on a jet ski.
And half black equals full black. And that's not my rule. That's a society's rule. That's why Drake could say the N-words a million times. And everyone's like, I love this song. I want to dance to this song. I want to slow grind to it.
It's because he's Canadian. That's why he can say it. It means something different in their language.
I don't think that is the case.
In their language. Yeah, Canadians don't they don't speak English, I don't think.
Don't you know?
I just thought it makes sense. And also just to kind of talk about the running back position in a whole, why the NFL screws these guys over. I mean, all their players except for quarterbacks. I looked up in the, NBA players make a lot more money than NFL players. I get there's a lot less of them to pay, but the NFL is worth like twice as much as the NBA. So the highest paid running back right now is Saquon Barkley at $20 million a year. Christian McCaffrey, $19 million a year. The 22nd highest paid NBA player right now is Zach LaVine, who, you remember him? He was in the Bulls. Zach LaVine makes $49 million a year, and that's for like a 5-year contract. Zach LaVine, I think, is the losingest player of all time in the NBA. He's never made the playoffs. And dude, $49 million. He's the 22nd. So the 22nd highest paid NBA player makes more per year than Saquon Barkley makes for his entire contract.
Dude,
and
NBA contracts are out of control.
Just think about it. If you're a running back in the NFL, you look at this, you got to be sick to your stomach. Like, a bench player, literally a bench player in the NBA makes more than Saquon Barkley as the highest paid running back. And these guys are sacrificing their body, their brains. And these NBA players are sitting on the bench, sitting out every other game. Like, got to make them sick to their stomach, dude.
Yeah, I can't imagine just the amount of not envy, but just what would be a good word for it? Just disdain that you would have to have looking at that day in and day out. The other, also, if you look at what look at the contract situation for Jeremiah Love. You mentioned it earlier versus Jonathan Taylor, and these guys are so disposable by teams, and it's just you talk about okay, Breece Hall, he finally got paid by the organization and he wants to stay there. Kamara wants to stay. They restructured or re-signed him recently.
Yeah, they restructured him essentially. He had to take a big pay cut.
Okay. So yeah, and then look at baseball and look at guys who are still getting paid years after they stop playing baseball.
Bobby Bonilla is going to be getting paid in 2040, dude. He's still getting paid.
Bobby Bonilla Day was a couple weeks ago.
Pantera says woke means envy. Maybe. We're not very woke on this show. Anyways, let's get to the second news item here. And this one's interesting. I wish Wally was in here because J.J. McCarthy, NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, believes J.J. McCarthy and Kyler Murray will battle for the starting quarterback job right up to the start of the season. And that kind of goes against the quote of Kevin O'Connell saying they're going to decide who the starter is like before the preseason. And I think we all thought, and we all still think, and we all know it's going to be Kyler Murray. It better be Kyler Murray. If it's not Kyler Murray, the sky is falling. His career's over. If you lose out to J.J. McCarthy, like, the leap he would have had to make to beat even Kyler Murray at his worst from what we saw last year with JJ, mentally and physically, processing all those things, accuracy, fundamentals, mechanics, it would be one of the biggest leaps I've ever seen because JJ McCarthy was awful. And Kyler Murray was a Hall of Fame, but potential Hall of Fame player, but more of an all-pro player, a guy that was in the MVP discussion for literally 7 weeks, like not a Rex Grossman situation. It was 7 or 8 weeks into the season, which not many players have that title of like in the MVP conversation halfway through the year. And JJ McCarthy is not ever going to be in that discussion, I don't think.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I did mention it like a couple of months ago. I said that there's a chance that this is a real competition because they can't let that high of a draft pick just go by the wayside after a lost year and then a down year. Don't forget, they won 5 of their last 6 games with JJ McCarthy playing last year, and they ended up over 500 in a really tough division. So, excuse me. I mean, you're paying Kyler the veteran minimum, right? Arizona's paying the vast majority of his salary this year. I think there's a sliver of a chance that this is a real quarterback competition and not just now. It is, again, it's training camp season, so it's bluster and it's wind blowing about all this kind of stuff. But this one's a little weirder. This isn't like, oh, McCarthy's looking good, blah blah blah. This is like, it's a real competition. So I don't know. Let's see how things shake out. I believe that rookies report in 2 days to the Vikings offseason program, not offseason.
So JJ McCarthy's reporting in 2 days is what you're telling me.
Yeah. Well, and then 4 or 5 days later is when the vets perform. Not perform.
Okay, let's give me the chances that JJ McCarthy's our day one starter. There's a chance, but like, give me the percentage.
10%.
2.
Okay.
I'm going 2%.
10%. 10%. I think it's reasonable.
Here's the problem. Here's the reason you can't start JJ McCarthy. Because if you start JJ McCarthy, then you're not getting nothing from Kyler. He's going to be tuned out, whatever. So now you don't have a backup. If you start Kyler, which is the plan all along, and he's bad, then you just go to JJ McCarthy, and the year's probably over anyway, and you write it out. Like, if you bench JJ McCarthy again, his career's over, like with Minnesota, that you can't bench the guy again. So the play is to start Kyler no matter what, and he is the better player. Give him a chance. Give him 5 weeks. If they're 1-4 and he's doing the same shit he was doing with the Cardinals, missing throws and not reading defenses and not really putting the work in, then you say, screw it. Our season's over probably anyway. Maybe JJ can resurrect it, bring some energy to the team, and we'll get a look at him for the rest of the year. But starting with JJ McCarthy is just a fail by that organization because I think he already knows going in, like, and all the reports are he's not starting.
So, but if you decide that Kyler is going to be the guy, then you got to compete this year. And that means you got to compete against the Packers and the Lions and the Bears in that division, let alone the rest of the NFC with the Rams and the 49ers and the Eagles, right? So you got to go all in on that. Otherwise, if you could take a step back and say, all right, well, we kind of rushed it. We didn't realize that the backup situation was as bad as it was with Brosmer, although that kind of speaks to some of the talent evaluation there. Brosmer was their backup quarterback, but that's why I think it's 10%. Like, if McCarthy is either the future and he's the future now, or they got to think about, all right, 27, 28, we're drafting somebody, Arch Manning, et cetera, et cetera. They probably won't lose enough to be high enough to draft Arch Manning, Norris Sellers, maybe Trinidad Chambliss, et cetera. It's a good draft class. So are you ready to cut bait on a highly drafted prospect that won the national championship, went undefeated, won the national championship 2 years in?
The Niners would. They're a great organization.
2 years
I don't know
in,
if the Vikings would.
I mean, lost season and then a struggle first year. I don't know. I don't know that McCarthy wants, because what's Kyler's deal after this year?
Nothing. The problem is when he plays amazing, the Vikings are going to trust it. They're not going to pay him. So it's a 1-year rental. They're trying to win this year, I think, is the reason they brought him in, right? And they just don't think JJ's ready. They wouldn't have brought him in otherwise. Silent says, could you guys argue more? The last show we argued a lot.
He should have been on Sunday night.
Yeah, it's really civil, though, with me and him. Me and Ray got into it last night a little bit. mostly Ray got into it with me about Amarian Hampton. And I am just off Amarian Hampton, like really off him. Are you drafting Amarian Hampton at 14 overall?
I did read a report from the Athletics, what's his name, Probly, something like that, where he says that, quote, Amarian Hampton could be a special running back this year, top echelon type. Now, again, I don't know that I believe that per se, but, you know, there's rumblings that he could take the next step.
Yeah, Keaton Mitchell and Kamani Vidal and McDaniel always using a committee scares the hell out of me. Silence says, I think running backs should be paid more early in their career, which, you know, they should get paid in general because NFL players' shelf lives are so short. Running backs in general, they just use them and abuse them. They're like a whore. Just like, here you go. We got it. We used it all up, and then now just go on to the next one. And that's going to continue to happen, and especially with the low contracts, they just cut them. And they won't usually pay a second contract. They'll let somebody else pay that second contract. You also remember when the Giants, do you remember Berries, when the Giants paid Darius Slayton essentially the money they could have paid Saquon Barkley? Darius Slayton.
What's Darius Slayton making, or what was he making?
$14 million a year, $16 million a year.
Letting Barkley walk, man. That's what a terrible. Wasn't it the year they did? What's the HBO NFL
Hard Knocks.
Yeah. They did with the Giants. And the GM's son was like, just pay Saquon or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no. So Saquon makes $20 million a year now. That's because the Eagles re-signed him. The original contract was for like $14 million a year because that was reset in the running back market. And Darius Slayton signed a 3-year deal for $14 million a year. So essentially they gave the Saquon money to Darius Slayton, who is their fifth receiver, and he's the definition of just a guy. So that's the New York Football Giants for you guys. They're a very smart organization. They make a lot of really good decisions, and they just blow. Darius Slayton, guys.
It's a bad organization.
They're clowns.
I don't know who Bozo is. What is he, a clown?
Is he a clown? What, are you kidding me?
Or what is he?
Yes, he's a clown.
All right, so what's the big deal? There's millions of clowns.
All right, just forget it.
Forget me? You should forget it. You're living in the past, man. You hung up on some clown from the 60s, man.
Nice.
To any Call of Duty team money, it is Modern Warfare 4, which has been highly anticipated for years in the Call of Duty community. So this is a big one for Kyler. He's got to really get his mind off Call of Duty.
I will
Jonathan
say, Kyler has been saying all the right things in training camp. If you listen to his interviews, so that's good news. At the very least, he's got somebody in his corner that's coaching him.
What do you think about the Panthers' run game with one of their offensive tackles getting blood clots? I didn't hear about this. I love it because it doesn't matter for me because I just want Chuba to go later and later because I'm going to take so much Chuba in redraft. And, he's already going in the 80s in redraft. Like, yeah, I'll take him in the 90s. I'll take the starting running back of a playoff team last year with a guy that has one knee and Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, they pay Chuba. They like him. He's a leader in the locker room there. I don't think this is going to be Jonathan Brooks' backfield all of a sudden. He's basically a rookie coming in. I don't know which OT was it that got blood clot because that will take him out for months.
Yeah, I don't see that. Chaz, we got the Chaz in here. What's up, man? Didn't realize Hampton was going that high. Wow. Yeah, he's going running back 8, and there's only 4 wide receivers going in the first round. So he's going pick 14 roughly in full PPR. And Blake says Hampton was running number 35 running back, only played 9 games. What if he plays every game? With those numbers, he would have been running back 16, which is fair, and he's going to take a step up this year. I love Hampton. Storey, I love the prospect coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the situation. I just don't like taking him over guys like Saquon Barkley. I'm not going to do that because what's Hampton's upside? Hampton's upside is Saquon Barkley. It's the mystery box thing. Like, why wouldn't we just take Saquon Barkley? Opportunity share, right? Saquon's 80%. He gets 80% of that backfield. That's not changing.
He didn't get 80% last year.
Yeah, he did, dude. Yeah, he did.
No way it was 80%.
They didn't have that much because all they were doing was throwing the ball with Jalen Hurts and going 3 and out.
Yeah. If I'm drafting a lot, I don't want to miss out on a few shares of Amarian Hampton because he could be special.
So you were talking about the Giants GM, yeah. So apparently his kids told him to draft Jaden Daniels.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, yeah.
Wow, wild stuff. All right, let's get into the segment here. This is the age cliff panic meter. These old players. We're talking about 10 old players, and we're going to talk about how concerned we are with their potential drop off and everything about these players. We haven't talked a lot about some of these dudes, so I'm curious to get into the list. So let's start with the first guy, and the first guy. Ooh, it's a juicy one. It's Christian McCaffrey, who is entering his 10th season. He just turned 30 years old. Dude is he's getting up there. He's getting up there.
This is not going to work out.
What's not going to work out?
You, me, talking like this.
Why? What's wrong?
For starters, you got kids and shit. And you talk about them. You talk about your kids. You talk about your dead husband. I mean, it's kind of bummed me out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, it's not your fault. It's just maybe, I think you're too old for me.
Frank, I'm 2 years younger than you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
So CMC is 2 years younger than Derrick Henry, which is kind of why I put that clip in there. CMC is going running back 3, just turned 30 years old. This is his 10th NFL season. 16 games. So he played 16 games the first 3 seasons of his career. Didn't miss a game. And I'm going to read you his numbers here. The games played. He played 3 games, then 7, then 17, then 17, then 16, then 4, then 17. So he's actually been really healthy. When he's healthy, he plays the entire year. When he misses time, has an injury, it's usually a major injury. Coming off 450 touches, including the playoffs. His last 2 years, 4.0 and 3.9 yards per carry. That's not great, and that's in a Shanahan running scheme. Like, that's rough, dude. Eye test has not been great, but 100 receptions last year. The fall off in terms of a pass catcher has not been at all. It's actually been, he's almost better as a pass catcher. But in terms of running the ball, the fall off it's coming, man. It was there last year. Do you think it's going to continue, or is he going to bounce back? The offensive line, Trent Williams getting a little healthier. What do you think for CMC? And just let's talk about his ability here first before we talk about the injury stuff.
So I know the crux of this episode is related to age and age cliffs, and do guys fall off because of that? But for CMC, I mean, you have to take into account the workload last year and what history tells us. I mean, age is only part of the problem. He's a 30-year-old coming off one of the heaviest workloads we've ever seen. Well over 417 touches or 413 in the regular season, well over 450 with the playoffs, right? I mean, and what that historically means for running backs is not good news. Since there's been 11 instances since 2016 where a running back has surpassed 370 touches in a season, and the average decline coming off of the season like that is just over 48%. Which that's the difference between the RB1 and PPR points and finishing outside the top 20. And take into account what happens when they're coming off a 2,000 all-purpose yard season, the decline in PPR production is just over 50%. So I'm really hesitant. Initially, I'm like thinking about it. I had it at 3, and then as I dug in a little bit more, I moved it up to a 5. And I think I would go panic meter is probably at least a 5 on this one, because we've seen this with McCaffrey before twice. Right, we saw it you mentioned it in 2019. We mentioned it with 2023 going into 2024. So the history keeps telling us the same story with running backs, with guys who get heavy workloads, and with McCaffrey in and of himself. With that high volume, that elite level production should dip precipitously. That crash comes fast. Now, it is McCaffrey. He is a different type of animal. Betting him on RB3 means pretending that it won't happen again, though. So I think you have to be at least a 5 with him.
I got a 5 too. A lot of trust, baby. And the parallel between we're going to talk about Barkley next. The parallel of, the word with CMC has never been production, right? It's never been fantasy points. It's always availability. As Big Ray says, availability is the best availability. And Saquon last year was, Saquon's 2024 was the same as CMC's 2025, right? In terms of touches. And we didn't see Saquon really decline during the season. We definitely saw CMC's, the film look worse towards the end of the year. He was definitely nursing an injury, but the decline was already happening last year. And you look what happened to Saquon last year, dude. Like, that was a lot of Kevin Shula for sure, but he also didn't look the same. I feel like he looked 75% of his 2024 self. If we see the same thing from CMC in terms of 75% of what we saw from last year, which is already a little bit of a declining player, especially as a rusher, then we're in trouble here with CMC drafting running back 3. I don't care if he has 80 catches. Like, he's not going to make up the work on the ground with these other younger running backs, nipping at his heels. So I have a 5. I'm still drafting him at PPR because like I said, I think his floor is 80 catches, and we're hoping Devin Achane has 80 catches. We're hoping some of these other pass catching running backs get to 60 or 70. When your floor is 80 catches, like that's the most free PPR points you can get. That's just free top 5 running backs. As long as he scores 10 touchdowns, he'll be there. And that's what he does. He scores touchdowns and he catches passes. That's what we want.
Yeah. I mean, that is a fair argument to be made. And again, despite the fact that the numbers back up a decline in production across the board and the health concern with CMC, we got to take into account. That's all what I quoted, those statistics, those are all small sample sizes, right? 11 data points, 2 data points with Christian McCaffrey. So just because it happened in the past does not mean it was happening again. That's why he's a 5 and not an 8 or a 9. I think he's definitely worth taking shots on in league formats. And if people were scared off on him coming into last year, and look what he did, turn it around. People were scared off on him coming into 2021, and look what happened. So I would not begrudge anybody who wants to take him as the 3rd running back off the board. I'm just saying, if that's your only league, be careful, because losing your 1st round pick as a bust, it hurts.
And he's not Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is an all-time workout hero and a superhero, right? He's just a freak. CMC is a more normal type dude, but in terms of a workout regimen and the way he takes care of his body, he is in that upper echelon, because you heard the rumblings getting drafted out of Stanford. It was like, this guy won't hold up to a running back. And, he has some major injuries. Other than that, though, he's held up to some massive workloads. Dude does not miss games unless he misses the season. Like, what I'm saying? If he's playing, he's playing. If he suffers a major injury, that's gonna toast him. But it's been impressive how CMC has actually played full seasons like 7 times in his 10-year career. That's wild. Yeah,
I mean, most running backs are going to miss 2 or 3 games per year just by getting dinged up. And when McCaffrey plays, he plays the full season. And when he doesn't play, it really hurts because he plays 3 games or 0 games.
Team Money, I'm a fan of Alvin Kamara, but he fell off. The fall off could happen to CMC. That's a nice parallel too, because we were talking about Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. CMC is much more of an Alvin Kamara type running back with the way they use him, with his body type. You know what I mean? He's not 230 pounds like these other guys. He is a smaller back. So we didn't think the Kamara fall off would be this distinct, but it's there. It happened. I was
drafting Kamara happily last year, and I think it was very odd, the usage, and then we saw the injury. I don't know that the fall off is as precipitous or as concerning as people think, because what we didn't see was a traditional role for Alvin Kamara last year, and he got injured, right? So we missed 8 games or whatever it was, 7 games. So I don't know. I don't know that we're gonna see, because he's still on the roster there, right? And Etienne isn't exactly the most efficient running back. Kamara could eat into his work a little bit. I think he could be a thorn in the side of Etienne owners.
Also, the fans want to see Etienne. Like he's a fan favorite. He's an all-time Saint. They love that guy. He's going to live down there and just never pay for a drink. And that's a great town to not pay for a drink, because there's a lot of drinks down there and a lot of good food. And you could talk to Zion Williamson about that.
Yeah.
Look at his body type. All right, I'm gonna hit you guys with the intro. We finished our first name. We have 9 more names coming up after this. Navy beans. I was just sing that too. The name. Yeah, I want my navy beans. You know what? We need to get Big Ray consulting on this episode, though, because Big Ray, as you guys know, is a medical doctor.
He had a meniscus issue, which totally tanked Derrick Rose's career.
Next name, Saquon Barkley, going into his 9th season. He is 29 years old. He's missed 7 games over the last 5 years, though. So been pretty goddamn healthy. Some giant workloads. 400 plus touches in 2024. Only 315 touches last year. I say only because he played every game. So in reality, he averaged less than 20 touches a game. They were some pretty brutal touches in terms of running into 320-pound men, including his offensive line, because the play calling there, which is insane. Can we get Saquon Barkley out on a screen pass for once? Get him in the open field? Could we do that last year? No, we couldn't because it was awful. But that was Kevin Pachulo.
Situation last year.
So advance in terms of his yards per carry, man. So before he joined the Eagles, that last year in 2023 with the Giants, 3.9 yards per carry. And everyone was like, he's dust. He's getting dustier. 5.8 in 2024 with all that volume. And last year, 4.1. So let's start here. 5.8's insane with that volume in general. Even if it was Devin A-Chain doing it, like no one averages 5.8 yards a carry except for Derrick Henry. 4.1 is more like league average, a little lower. But where would you say is going to be closer to 4.1 this year or 5.8?
Well, I think you have to say close to the 4.1, right? Like,
I think he could average 5 yards a carry.
Okay. I mean, he regressed from his outstanding 2024 season, no argument. But I don't know that the regression was too severe when you take into consideration all the factors related to it. I mean, I feel like 4.1, not great, obviously, but he kind of went, like, if you look at the more advanced rushing metrics, he just went back to his regular above average and good numbers that he usually produced.
Saquon's actually never been all that efficient on the ground. He usually made his hay with the Giants in pass catching and big explosive plays, and they just haven't used him that way with the Eagles. Now, I think that's going to change this year. At least it's going to be better than it was last year. I think 37 catches last year, and that was some decent game scripts for him to have some receptions. What do you think is an upside for Barkley receiving this year? Is it 60 catches? Because we've seen Barkley have a 91 reception year. We know the guy's capable.
It's not the Giants' offense. They are going to utilize Barkley more in the passing game, but they're not going to utilize him as an outlet, an extension of the running game through wheel routes and screen passes and that kind of thing, like they did, and dump off city, like they did in New York. So 60 catches is probably his upside.
You think his floor is 40, though? You think like we've seen like the last 2 years have just been the volume they're giving him in the ground, those empty calorie touches, like they need to also extend his shelf life a little bit. It's less hits on the screen passes. You're getting tackled by corners and safeties opposed to linebackers and defensive linemen. Is 40 kind of his floor? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, there were subtle signs that his workload and prior injuries, you'd mentioned he's missed a number of games in his career, maybe starting to factor into his performance and his outlook. I don't think there's a reason to expect a sharp drop-off, like 20 receptions as a floor. But the physical demands of his early career usage is probably taking a toll on him, and it's a consideration for the Eagles as he moves into the next phase of his career. Like I don't want to say he's on a dip, but like he's in the twilight of his career. So highly usable asset for the Eagles, but it's not unreasonable to think that both Will Shipley and Tank Bigsby are going to take a little more work this year because I think the Eagles are too smart of an organization to utilize him on 24 touches per game. I don't think that he'll hold up to a season-long workload with that. And they have eyes on the playoffs and the Super Bowl. They don't necessarily have eyes on just getting through the season.
What is your panic meter number? 10 is really bad, guys. 1 is no panic at all. 10 is like full panic. 1 is no panic. What's your number? Are we going to get back-to-back Wanda trusts?
I'm a 2. I'm only a 2 on this one. So
I got 3.
Okay. All right, well, it's close. I mean, he's a highly usable fantasy aspect, and he's going to command a significant role. When push comes to shove, he's better than Tank Bigsby. He's better than Will Shipley. However, the margin for error is beginning to narrow, and that's why it is a 2. It does introduce a little bit of risk for fantasy owners, especially where he's being drafted.
Yeah, it's not as much as CMC. I feel like he's going to hold up, and coming off 315 touches, 315 is not that much for him, at least, and playing every game.
But I mean, accumulation over the course of a 9-year career, 8-year career. Is this his 9th season or 10th season?
He's going into his 9th season.
Yeah. 8 years as a workhorse in the NFL, plus 3 years starting at Penn State. Right? Let's not forget that he had an exorbitant workload when he was in college.
What does Dr. Ray think? Is it a meniscus?
He had a meniscus issue, which totally tanked Derrick Rose's career.
Ready for the next name? Speaking of old, I think I actually have something for this. Aaron Rodgers.
This old guy? Sid.
He's already achieved so much, and yet he's still goal-oriented and still focused. And he has a 5-year plan.
What is it? Don't die? You just made the biggest mistake of your life, baby. I know you're gonna be missing me when you got that big, white, wrinkly body on top of you with this loose skin and old balls. Gross.
So I have Aaron Rodgers on this list, not so much because we're drafting Aaron Rodgers, but we are drafting the pieces around Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know if you saw the report about Will Howard. He's in the roster bubble apparently, and we know Drew Aller's not ready to play. Mason Rudolph. Hopefully they don't have a game against the Rams this year if he plays, because he will get beheaded. He will die on the field.
Yeah.
You know, Myles Garrett's trying to finish him off. He wants to finish what he started. But we're drafting Donald, we're drafting Warren in startable ranges, we're drafting DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman and Pat Freiermuth in really deep leagues, especially best ball as a tight end. So without Aaron Rodgers there, like, this offense is going to go to the shitter. I mean, it might be the shitter with Aaron Rodgers, what we saw last year. But last year, 3,300 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. So pretty decent numbers. I feel like it looks worse than that, though. Like the numbers are better than what it looked like. And I was thinking about the old quarterbacks. Like he's going to be 43 in December. 43. I know, it's insane. And like, he's not Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady was a unique, Tom Brady's built differently. He's a lot taller. He didn't take the hits. Aaron Rodgers got beat up for a long time there in Green Bay. And it's not going to be remember Drew Brees, last season, Peyton Manning, especially when he had no arm. Like, Aaron Rodgers still has some game. He just isn't the physical specimen. And he was never a specimen, but he used to be above average athleticism, really great at throwing on the run, and also willing to take hits and scrambling for first downs. He's not doing any of that anymore. He does not want to get hit. He does not want to sit in the pocket and let the play develop. So it's not going to be as bad as Drew Brees and Peyton. Do you think he's going to be worse than last year, same, or better? Because I think there's a chance he's better just based on the fact he knows this is his last year. And Aaron Rodgers is a proud dude. A lot of people talking shit about Aaron Rodgers for a lot of reasons. He knows this is it. He has a way better team this year. Let's not forget, last year their wide receiver 2 was Calvin Austin. It was and Roman Wilson. Like, they have Michael Pittman now, who is legit. He's almost a number 1 in my mind. And DK Metcalf, like, those are 2 solid receivers. Rico Dowdle is more of a workhorse than they had last year with Jalen Warren in that role. Better, worse, or same as last year in terms of performance? Not numbers, just performance.
I mean, I don't know that I can agree with the argument that he knows it's his last year, so he's going to be better. Because, I mean, somebody could give you a shot in the NFL and be like, listen, we're signing you. You come play for the Browns. Doesn't mean that, this is your only shot. Doesn't mean that you're going to be able – you have the physical skills to manifest.
I get it. It's because it's Aaron Rodgers, though, an all-time great. Like, the dude can – I think he's going to just – he's going to gut it out this year, and I think he's going to be willing to take more hits. I think he's going to this is it, man. He's going to play his fucking heart out. In the last couple of years, especially in the Jets, he wasn't invested. He was not into it. Last year, he was more into it than he was with the Jets. I think this year you're going to see the fire back in Aaron Rodgers. Now, this doesn't mean he's going to be good.
I think it's a fool's errand to try to get into the head of NFL players, especially an NFL player as wacky as Aaron Rodgers, right? Like Tom Brady, wacky in his own right, but like during the season, he's eating seeds and nuts and going to bed at 7 o'clock at night.
Chipmunk, dude.
Yeah, well, look at his diet, all that nonsense. But Aaron Rodgers is off smoking ayahuasca in the summer. Like, I don't know. Anyway, back to like the numbers and the crux of it. I think this is going to be worse. He looked horrendous last year, and there's nothing in the passing game numbers that make me think that he can improve over last year. Metcalf, admittedly, not as versatile a receiver as Aaron Rodgers has found success with, but he put up a career low in targets and yards, and most of his other numbers, receptions, yards per game, PPR points, were as low since his rookie year in 2019. I can't imagine with another year older, more competition on this roster, it's going to get better for DK Metcalf. Now you throw in Pittman, and Pittman's likely to find a much less efficient passing attack than he had with Daniel Jones during Daniel Jones' strong year last year, and he's the number 2 behind DK Metcalf here. What's the best case scenario for him? 10 fantasy points per game? Like, I just don't understand how they're going to manifest an efficient and reasonable fantasy scoring output for anybody on the roster, with the exception of maybe Kenneth Gainwell, due to game script.
You mean Kenneth Gainwell's on the Bucks?
Jalen
Warren. Yeah, they're the same player. What is your panic meter number for Aaron Rodgers?
It's an 8
for the whole Steelers. Hey, want to trust, bro? I had an 8 as well. Okay. Look at that. We're on this one. As much as we disagree in the handcuffs, we're fucking right on this one. I still have some hope, though. I have some hope that he's actually better than last year. I put it at like a 20% chance, but it's based on what I said. I think there's a chance he's bought in more, and I also like the offense a lot better. Michael Pittman is a very underrated receiver. I know you're not a big Pittman fan, but underrated.
Yeah, but I mean, he's being drafted as what, the wide receiver 45, and can you realistically expect him to reach that? Like, where did the yards go last year? Who was catching?
Kenneth Gainwell. That's it.
I mean, because Metcalf had 850 receiving yards, so I just can't wrap my head around how, with another dude on the roster splitting like a decent. You mentioned he's a decent wide receiver, but like Metcalf, Pittman, they're just going to eat into each other's target volume. There's just not going to be that much target, especially in a very low volume passing offense and a slow offense too. Right? This offense plays super slow.
Very slow. Very slow. Do you think Drew Aller will be the Steelers quarterback post-Rodgers? You're not a Drew Aller fan, so you're going to say no.
I'm not, but he's the archetype that organization really likes.
Agreed. We got a question from Jers. Who is the best flyer out of Diggs, Ayuk, Tyreek? It's definitely Stephon Diggs.
Diggs.
What about Ayuk versus Tyreek? I'm going to say Ayuk because I think Tyreek just can't come back from that injury.
Yeah, I mean,
neither is probably the answer.
I don't know. Like, you could make an argument for either one. Like, Tyreek might not get on the field due to injury. Ayuk might not ever see the field again. So if it's dynasty, I'd probably say the best flyer is Tyreek. If it's seasonal, I'd say Ayuk.
Yeah, it's not. That's pretty rough pickings there. Snuffle says, duh, Bears. We don't have any Bears players on here because the Bears are super fucking young. Super young. And yes, let's put Debo on that list. I think Debo is probably the answer besides Diggs. I'd go Diggs, Debo.
I don't know. Keenan Allen?
You
don't think Keenan Allen?
Come on. Keenan Allen's dusty, bro. He's probably not even coming back. Get the hell out of here.
I don't know. I bet he signed somewhere during training camp.
Keenan Allen, if he was playing, he'd be on this list because Keenan Allen's is older than everyone but Aaron. I think Keenan Allen's 37, right? Same age as Travis Kelce.
I don't.
Been around for a long time. 35 at least. 35 at least, dude.
How old is Keenan?
What is your guess?
Allen, 34. He's 34.
I think it's a Danny Amonte situation. He changed his birth certificate. He's older than that. Mike Evans, next name here. Mike Evans, 13th season, 33 years old in August, getting drafted at wide receiver 24. Number one receiver, though, on a prolific offense. Are you in on Mike Evans? And let's start here. What is your panic meter on Mike Evans for the age cliff?
7.
Whoa! Mike Evans, 7.
Really? Wow.
7. Okay. We are on this, dude. I'm just going to have this wand of trust in my mouth the whole time.
What a departure from 2 days ago, right? Like,
oh, that's weird. All right.
I don't know I don't know if it's food safe silicone that you got there. I don't know if I'd be putting that in any orifices.
It's supposed to go in an orifice, or it's supposed to go around an orifice.
In an orifice.
Yeah, here we go. Right there.
Yeah.
Oh, we really put on a great show. There's only 8 people in here, so I'm not too worried about people being like, "What the fuck?" Anyways, Mike Evans, we both have 7. That's pretty high, but are you worried about it? Are you worried about Mike Evans? Are you drafting him at wide receiver 24? Because the upside is definitely huge.
I don't know that it is. Listen, he's a future Hall of Famer, no argument. Probably a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's entering his age 33 season, and he changed teams. This isn't like he's back with the Bucs all of a sudden. He missed 9 games due to injury last year. He's dealt with hamstring injuries his entire career, and when active last year, his numbers were career lows: 12.1 points per game and only 1 top 20 outing in 7 full games. Over the last decade, only Larry Fitzgerald and Julian Edelman are 33-year-old wide receivers to deliver top 25 campaigns. And where's he being drafted right now? Wide receiver 24?
Yep. So 5th round, end of the 4th, early 5th.
We're counting on him to buck the trend, not just of the age, but also of changing teams. When wide receivers change teams at that age, it's difficult to get up to speed there. And Evans doesn't work in the slot all that much, right? Edelman and Fitzgerald, those guys, especially Edelman, they was slot merchants, short range. Evans made his hay downfield, red zone playmaker, and he could benefit because that really does fit Kyle Shanahan's efficient offense. But Evans panning out as a wide receiver too in fantasy football is going to require some serious touchdowns And I'm not sure he can get there with George Kittle on track to be back by week 1. Which I don't
It's
believe.
gotta be the Devontae
Right.
Adams thing, right? It's got to be 13 touchdowns or 10 touchdowns for him.
It has to be.
Because it's not going to be on PPR value in terms of like volume. It's not going to be on, efficiency anymore because he's going to be facing number 1 corners. And it's still Mike Evans, who's a Hall of Fame player. Let's not forget that. But, he took a step back last year. That could have been injury related. But, let's not forget, Mike Evans was a burner. Not a burner anymore. Like, I'm going to ask you this. Our next name is actually Devontae Adams, but who has more left in the tank, Mike Evans or Devontae Adams? They are literally the same age. Adams is 1 year older. So who has more left in the tank between Mike Evans and Devontae Adams?
I don't know if that's the right question to be asking. Who's going to be more valuable in fantasy football is a better question, because when it comes to I'm not asking these guys to run 40-yard dashes. I'm asking them to produce for my fantasy team. And in that case, I think it's Devontae Adams.
So you're just not drafting Mike Evans then at wide receiver 24. You're just going to be out?
I can't get my head around that. He played half a season last year. And again, career lows. Like he those hamstring injuries scare me, but even beyond that, if he stayed a full 17 games this year, I still don't know that he would return value. I don't know that there's enough volume with CMC there, with George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall potentially ascending. We'll see.
Would you rather have Mike Evans or DJ Moore this year? Full PPR.
Probably DJ Moore.
He goes a little later, wide receiver 26. So
okay.
Let's move on to the next name here, which we talked about a little bit before, Devontae Adams, and he is getting dusty. Devontae Adams is going to be 34 years old in December.
Well, there is one little problem.
What's that?
He's 66 years old.
66 years old?
Yeah, well, he's in perfect health. He works out. He's vibrant. You'd really like him. So what do you think? Could you go out with a 66-year-old woman?
Well, I'll tell you, she would have to be really vibrant.
Would you draft a 34-year-old wide receiver?
Where's he being drafted?
Wide receiver 25, right after Mike Evans, and a damning stat from Devontae Adams. We all know he had 13 touchdowns last year in only 15 games. Insane stuff.
14 touchdowns in 14 games.
Even better. Wow. 1,500 air yards last year and only 789 receiving yards. That is rough. When you have Matt Stafford throwing you the ball, when you have Puka Nacua literally taking double shell coverage through the middle of the field, and the hammy injury to end the year. Like, that is becoming kind of a normal thing for Devontae Adams. And is it going to get better? What's your panic meter number on this one?
I'm a 4. I'm not that panicked.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I have 7. Okay. I'm panicked.
I get it. 60 receptions, 789 receiving yards last year, but 14 touchdowns. Scoring's not a traditionally sticky stat, but this offense, I think it's going to be a little stickier than what we've seen in the past. If you look at the sports books, they're projected to be the highest scoring team in the NFL this year. Now, an improved defense should even things out a little bit, but Matthew Stafford doesn't take a step back. This is still a very narrow target tree, very concentrated. Who's catching touchdowns? They got a million tight ends there, but these guys are asked to block an awful lot. I think Adams is still going to be used quite heavily in the red zone. One hamstring injury, near the end of the year doesn't really scare me that much. I do get it. Age, the durability, the touchdown dependence could make him a difficult pick and difficult to project, but I think it's worth it to be tied to a Sean McVay offense, one of the best in the NFL in terms of offenses.
Last year, 60 receptions, 789 yards, 14 touchdowns. So you think 60 catches and let's call it 800 if it's fair if he stays healthy?
Yeah, if he stays healthy, like he would probably, that would put him on pace for what,
75 and 950
and 920 something or other.
But 14 touchdowns. I know it was a touchdown a game, and dude, it's just not going to happen again. I'm sorry. 14.
Where did he finish last year in fantasy scoring?
I don't have that. I would guess he was a top 20 guy. I mean, points per game was probably top 14. But the volume stuff is low, and I don't see him catching 14 touchdowns. So if you make that number 8, which would still be a very good year, he's not going to return value. but maybe that's a dumb exercise because it's Devontae Adams. And
It is Devontae Adams. He's one of the best red zone wide receivers of all time. It's Matthew Stafford, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And opposite him, taking coverage away, is Puka Nacua, right? Like, and who else is catching touchdowns there? They don't throw.
You're not worried. You're drafting Devontae Adams at his current cost.
Yeah, because I think though there's a stronger possibility that he returns value than Mike Evans. Mike Evans isn't catching 14 touchdowns this year.
Good.
He could.
Brock Purdy wins MVP, baby. I have that bet.
Yeah, you do have that bet.
I have that bet. I like that bet. Also, I get that Mike Evans is older and he seems like injury prone, but like everyone else in the offense is also injury prone. Ricky Pearsall, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle is already injured. Like, what if there's some weeks where Mike Evans is like the only show in town? Mike Evans is going to have 10 targets a game. There's no world where Devontae Adams gets 10 targets a game. Even if Puka goes down, they're going to spread the ball out like to the tight ends and to the running backs. So yeah. I'm drafting Mike Evans over Devontae Adams for sure.
I'm drafting Devontae Adams over Mike Evans for sure.
I think Devontae Adams is a higher floor because the rapport he already has and this offense we know. But I think the upside's with Mike Evans, though, right? Like, who's going to have it? Who's more likely for 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns? No way it's Devontae Adams because he's not getting to 1,000 yards in this offense.
Yeah, but there's no way that Mike Evans is getting 12 touchdowns.
It's Mike Evans, man.
It's Christian McCaffrey. It's George Kittle. Jake Tunges.
Well, there's our first disagreements. Let's go to this guy who I don't think we will disagree on. It's King Henry. Derrick Henry is 32 years old. Since becoming the starter, so the first 2 years, remember, he wasn't a starter. He has missed, let's see, outside of 2021. Remember when he missed like 10 games?
Yeah.
He missed 9 games. He's missed 2 games in his whole career outside of that 1 year. And the lowest number of rushing touchdowns he's had was 10. And that was that year when he played 8 games. He actually had 10 rushing touchdowns that year he played 8 games. He's had double-digit touchdowns every single year. And it's not like he's finishing with 10. That year was 10 because he played 8 games. 13, 15, 16, 16, 15, 13. Every year, dude. 32 years old. What is your running back 12? He's going running back 12. So essentially middle to end of the second round. Sometimes going to the 2-3 turn, typically middle of the second round. What is your panic meter number on King Henry?
It's a 2. It's not that high. It's a 2. Where are you at? 3. Okay. I guess I'm less concerned about some of these guys than you are. Have I been higher on anybody? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. No, you're not.
I don't know. I mean, Derrick Henry last year, he proved that writing him off as a fantasy force was a silly endeavor, right? He finished as the RB7 in PPR. I know people care about PPR versus half PPR. But he finished as RB7 in PPR last year after an admittedly slow start. A lot of it was fueled by the fumbles. Remember, he had like 3 fumbles in the first 2 games or something wacky like that, even though he was scoring touchdowns out of control. He had a sub 50 PFF rushing grade in 2 of those contests, but he found his rhythm and he was as productive as we've seen him in every year in his career, other than his rookie year. So I don't think the concern is whether or not he can produce. It's whether or not the current fantasy price of running back 12 accurately reflects the risk that's attached to him. And you do have to be concerned. The reason it's a 2 and not a 1 is because he had more than 300 carries. He's entering his age 32 season. Is that right?
32, yes. 32
season. There's probably some decline. I think that's baked into his cost, though, right? Like, he's being drafted at the end of the second round. If you finish as the RB7 again, where would he be drafted? Beginning of the second round?
Yes, that's where I draft him in half PPR. Now, in full PPR, I draft him at cost, right? End of the second round. Totally fair with that because I'm understanding that he's never going to be a top 5 back. It's just not. It's not in the range of outcomes without the pass catching. Half PPR, and then no one plays standard, but half PPR in my mind is, I know it's right in the middle. I think it's closer to standard. That's how I draft it. Pick 13. I'm taking him, dude. I am taking Derrick Henry. For me, like Derrick Henry and Barkley are really close because Barkley has definitely more upside, but Derrick Henry is going to score 12 touchdowns. His Vegas line right now is 13.5. 13.5 is what Vegas is telling you. You got to bet over under 13.5. And that's baking an injury, but they don't bake an injury with Derrick Henry because he doesn't get hurt, right? Like, that's why his number's so high because, like, well, Derrick's going to play 16 games. And he's probably going to average, 0.9 touchdowns a game. That's just what the dude does for his career. And that stability, man, in also being tied to Lamar Jackson, like, yes, even if Lamar runs less, the threat of the RPO with Lamar is always going to be there, because the second you sell out for Derrick Henry, Lamar's a smart enough quarterback now, he'll take it down the sideline for 35 yards. And you can't afford that as a defense.
Well, I think the biggest point there is he's going to score a dozen touchdowns easily. I mean, nobody else is carrying on the goal line there. Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell's gone. He sneaked a few goal line carries last year. And I mentioned it on Sunday, like Lamar Jackson, they don't run Lamar Jackson on RPOs near the goal line nearly as much as they did in the first 2 or 3 years, first 2 or 3 years in the league. And I think they're a little cautious because we saw with him not like the whole offense takes a dip if Lamar isn't running. So new coach, but what else are you going to do other than run the ball with Derrick Henry on the goal line and the 5-yard line, the 10-yard line, et cetera?
Didn't Gus Edwards have like a 10 touchdown year when he was a starter? He wasn't even like the full-time starter, but whoever the starting running back is, and this is Derrick Henry, of course, but if it's just, big running back X, they're going to score 10 touchdowns when Lamar's healthy. It's going to happen every single year.
I mean, I guess
it's Derrick Henry.
Technically, Mark Andrews is still a red zone threat.
That's about it. That's really about it. And then Rashad Bateman will catch some in the red zone.
A couple of rookies, right? Like Jacoby Lane Jacoby Lane caught 4 touchdowns last year.
Dude, Jacoby Lane's not going to see the field this year.
I'm just saying, like, there's not another red zone threat on there other than Mark Andrews.
All right, next name.
Yeah, easy.
Josh Jacobs, your boy. You had him on your safe players list. What is your concern with Josh Jacobs?
Dug into this a little bit more. I do think he's super safe still, but I'm at a 4 with him right now because his injuries have started to creep up a little bit more. We saw it last year. The warning signs are there. He's 28. He's got 2,100 career touches. That's a lot. He carried. We forget how much he carried the ball in. Was it Oakland at the time?
It was Oakland at the time. Yeah.
There's also some uncertainty hanging over his head with the off-the-field legal issues. That doesn't really factor into it for me. This right now, at least, his efficiency slipped last season. His yards per carry dropped below Saquon's. He was 4.0 yards per carry last year, which a little concerning. And then the left knee injury. That's a knee that has bothered him going back to his time in Oakland, whatever it is. Knee contusion isn't a structural knee issue, but his overall volume dipped as well. So the healthiness of Marshawn Lloyd, Chris Brooks being
the unhealthiness is never healthy.
Well, I'm just saying he's healthy right now. Chris Brooks being an okay between the tackles guy, they might ease Jacobs' workload a little bit, but I do think he's pretty safe, especially at his cost, because for the most part, that offense runs through Jacobs.
So he's got 30 touchdowns the last 2 years of Green Bay. So 16 and 14, which is awesome. And he missed a couple games. He missed a game last year, but he might as well have missed 3 games because they were barely using him when he came back. That he got like 9 touches. That's a good stat. The bad stat is he had 0 100-yard rushing games. That is damning because it's definition of a plotter now, right? He is 3, 4, 6, 5, 2 yards when he has 7 carries in a row. He's not breaking off any explosive runs, but it's the goal line stability. We are buying it on this offense. Less receivers there now with Dubs in and Wick's gone. And it's the competition behind him, right? If they brought in Trey Benson or James Conner, I would probably soften my stance. Josh Jacobs going running back 18 right now. It's like, that's a nice cost. He should be going running back 14, right? He should be going right after Jeremiah Love. He should be going ahead of ETN, ahead of some of these other running backs. Like, you want him over Kyron Williams, right? Like, he's the only show in town.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned that during our Safe Players episode. I think that even though you have to be concerned about the advanced metrics dipping last year, but some of that could be attributed to the injury. In general, though, what we don't want to see is what we saw last year, which is where he got that knee contusion and then he tried to fight his way through it. And that kind of factors into it as well. You get older, it takes these things a little bit longer to heal. We'd rather, if you get injured, hey, take a game or 2 or 3 off or whatever it is, so you're not put in a position where because you're not starting Jacobs if he's on your fantasy roster, even if he's playing. Well, we saw what happened when he was injured. Same thing with Brock Bowers. But Jacobs is the kind of guy who's going to kind of push his way onto the field. So hopefully we don't see any injuries stack up. But, again, 2,100 career touches, that's That's no small feat.
Why we shouldn't be too worried about it, like I said, I have him as a 5 just because of the playing through the injury thing. I'd much rather have him miss a couple games and come back healthy, and he's just not ever going to do that. But we saw this with Javonte Williams last year, and Javonte is a younger player than Josh Jacobs, but Javonte Williams wasn't necessarily good last year. You know what he was? Available, getting a bunch of touches, and getting all the goal line work on a very good offense. And I think that obviously we don't think Green Bay is as good as the Cowboys on offense, but they're still a better than average offense. But if you're getting all the goal line work and you're still getting 70% of the snaps, I'm in, because you could become a top 8 running back just based on volume and touchdowns alone. And Josh Jacobs, we were saying he's like kind of zapped with explosiveness. He's still a very smart runner. He's turning into David Montgomery though, right? He used to be like a Joe Mixon level talent. He is turning into a David Montgomery, a grinder, a dude that's going to get you the hard yards, which I think Green Bay wants though, right? They appreciate that, because the other guys in this backfield, Chris Brooks and Marshawn Lloyd, who we don't even know what the hell he is because we've never seen him on an NFL field, those guys are not that, right? They're not. Emmanuel Wilson was that grinder. The fact that Emmanuel Wilson's gone now is super nice for Josh Jacobs, because Emmanuel Wilson was better than Josh Jacobs last year at the end of the year. Like, it hurt Josh Jacobs was not as good as a healthy Emmanuel Wilson. And now you don't have anyone to compete. Jacobs
is an underrated pass catcher. I know that being drafted as highly as it is, you have to be a pass catcher to return value, but and Montgomery was an underrated pass catcher, especially early part of his career. But Montgomery has kind of slid into this role of between the tackles grinder, as well as a red zone guy, goal line guy, etc. Jacobs, though, he catches a ton of passes, and I don't know who else is getting goal line work there, right? Like, Packers used to. It sucked when Jacobs first got there because Aaron Rodgers was always targeting Devontae Adams from the 1 yard line, But that has shifted with Jordan Love now.
Yeah, and Jordan Love, I've been clamoring for Jordan Love for years to run the ball more, right? Like, rush. He's athletic enough, but he's always kind of dinged up, and he definitely doesn't run around the goal line. Like, he might as well be Jared Goff on a 3rd and goal from the 5. He looks to pass first. So this is a lot of Josh Jacobs around the goal line. The best availability is availability. Great quote from our guy, Dr. Ray. Silent says, is Tracy the best backup running back this year? With Cam's play style, he might be injured a lot. Likelihood of being a starter probably goes up because Cam is an injury prone. He's a player that plays with a bad style, reckless abandon, and is coming into the year with an injury, which is 2 things. You had him ranked higher than I did in terms of handcuffs, right? You had him at like 3 or 4.
I had 3 based on our definition.
I had him at 7. 7th best handcuff.
My 1 was Chris Rodriguez. It's debatable whether or not you can call him a handcuff. If it is, then he's my number 1. My number 2 is Woody Marks, and then my number 3 is Tyrone Tracy.
We got Jason in here. What's up, buddy? I don't know if you're still in here. Hopefully your toe's better. He had a really fucked up toe. Hopefully he can golf. Brock is a D-bag for not giving up the number Mike earned, the number 13. Can't see Mike in a number 5. First ballot Hall of Famer.
That's
Do you
true.
think Brock Purdy should have gave up his number? He's the leader. He's the quarterback, but also give some grace to a guy that you're going to rely on.
Dude, Brock Purdy, you're not going to the Hall of Fame, all right? You come from Iowa State, fine, whatever, Mr. Irrelevant. Don't give up. Yeah, I agree with Jason here. What a D-bag move, Brock Purdy.
Well said.
You know what really grinds my gears? This Lindsay Lohan. Eh? Lindsay Lohan with all those little outfits, jumping around there on stage, half naked with your little outfits. You're up there jumping around, and I'm just sitting here with my beer. So, what am I supposed to do? What do you want? Are we going to go out? Is that what you're trying to... Why are you leaping around there, throwing those things all up over there in my face? Huh? What do you want, Lindsay? Tell me what you want!
Nice.
All right. Next name here, we have Chris Godwin. Speaking of the Bucks, Jason's a big Bucks fan. Chris Godwin is 30 years old, so he's on the younger side compared to some of these other dudes. But entering his 10th season, he was a young rookie. He's never scored 10 touchdowns in his career, which I know he's more of a PPR guy. But wide receiver 41 for Chris Godwin. And coming off, last year he was coming off that major broken shin. And then, had the injuries last year. Rushed back and had a step back. And it was a lost year for Chris Godwin. Lost 2 years, like second half of 2024 and then last year. What is your panic meter on Chris Godwin for just old players? And we're going to call him an old player because of the injuries he's had. 10 years in the league.
I think you have to add in some additional age when guys have dealt with significant injuries near the recent tail end of their career. In any event, he's a 6 for me.
That's what I had. We're fucking on. We're simpatico today, baby.
Yeah, weird. Bounce back. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. His last 2 seasons were marred by injury, but even when he came back, I think there were additional concerns that were raised, age-related concerns because of the decline entering, what was his age 29 season last year?
Last year, age 29.
I mean, even when healthy last year, he struggled to command high-end volume. He wasn't very efficient. It was a crowded Tampa Bay receiving core, but Godwin's one of the top guys. Ibuka was a rookie. Evans was hurt. Godwin should have had the opportunity to really command that wide receiver room, but he struggled in that regard. So I still think he's an important part of the Buccaneers offense and what they want to do. And we saw some signs of life last year. That's why it's a 6, right? We saw him kind of come to life last couple weeks of the season. He had a strong week 17 performance. So if you played him in your fantasy championship, you were pretty happy. If he's healthy, fully healthy in 2026, he could definitely rebound into fantasy relevancy. But what does that realistically mean? What the ceiling appears much, much lower for Godwin now than during his prime seasons 3-4 years ago.
So I have a 6, but it should be a 2. And I'll tell you why it should be a 2, because the draft cost to get Chris Godwin's the cheapest of all these guys we talked about. So in a vacuum, it's a 6. If he was going in the range of Mike Evans or Devontae Adams, he's not. He's going running a wide receiver 41. He's going in the 9th or 10th round. That's why I like the risk. But for this exercise, I put him at 6. But in reality, I'm way less worried because if he's hurt, whatever, I don't care. I'll replace him. Or like Devontae Adams and Mike Evans, some of these other guys, it's going to hurt your team a little bit more. The play for Chris Godwin this year, why it should smash is last year he was, you rushed back, massive injury in 2024. Even if he's 80% of his former self, Baker Mayfield last year was like 60% of himself because he was playing through the injury since week 2. So we all assume Baker Mayfield is going to take us, back to what we saw the first couple weeks from Baker, back to what we saw in 2024 from Baker. If that happens, that's going to kind of bridge the gap of Chris Godwin's talent dip, if you will, and losing Mike Evans. I'm not an Ibuka fan. I think you like him more than me. I think Ibuka's a number 2, and he's going to be forced to be a number 1 because at this stage of Chris Godwin's career, he's just not a number 1 receiver. But I think it's to be a 1A, 1B situation, and the price you're paying for Chris Godwin, wide receiver 41, is, especially in a full PPR, he's not going to catch a lot of touchdowns. He's never caught 10 in his career. He's not catching 10 now, guys, but he can catch 6 touchdowns and have 80 receptions. That is a nice upside for a player that's outside the starting wide receiver range.
Yeah, I think it's nice because there's upside relative, but he's feels like a bye week fill-in or a deep flex play as opposed to somebody who's going to get into your rotation on a regular basis. Probably better in best ball because of the uncertainty surrounding it. I mean, the nice thing is, as you mentioned, his cost relative to most of the guys about whom we've talked tonight is certainly very affordable. Be willing, though, to cut Chris Godwin. Don't be caught up in the name and hold on to him if it looks like Egbuka is the next big thing and Godwin is kind of relegated to second fiddle there.
All right, let's talk about the oldest player on this list besides Aaron Rodgers, who was just there for a Steelers conversation. It is Travis Kelce. Dude is old.
My name's Jackson. It's been my lifelong dream to see the Pacific Ocean before I die. Please take me with you.
An old bag of bones like you wouldn't make it 100 yards upriver.
On my worst day, I could still beat the stuffing out of you, you puffed-up crow's cock.
No, you couldn't.
I know. Can you deny an old man his dream?
I cannot, and I will not. Jackson, you may accompany us.
Horse's ass!
Turd.
Help us load the boats.
Sorry, can't do. I'm an old man.
I should probably watch that movie.
That's Aaron Rodgers when they're like, we'll sign you. Can you come? Can you report to training camp? No, can do. I'm an old man. Like, I'll play the season, but like, no way I'm coming to training camp or OTAs. So Travis Kelce, 14th, entering his 14th season, 37 years old in October, almost uncharted territory, man. Tight end 10. He's going tight end 10. He's only scored 13 touchdowns the last 3 years. And, he's never been a Antonio Gates level player where he's scoring 12 or 14 a year, Tony Gonzalez, but he's always in that, 9, 10, 8 range. And 13 the last 3 years is rough. And this offense is also taking a step back. I think his value is in touchdowns because he has that connection with Mahomes. So you have a Mahomes question with his injury. What is your panic meter for Travis Kelce?
First of all, Where did Travis Kelce finish last year?
I think it was tight end 3, dude.
Tight end 3, which is wild. It was wild.
That was a reflection of the tight end landscape, though, more than him. He had a nice start to the season, and then he literally faded really hard, dude.
Yeah, it felt bad if you were rostering Kelce last year. And to me, 37 years old, I'm an Ocho here. I'm an 8 on Travis Kelce. This is a difficult click if you're drafting Travis Kelce. I mean, despite finishing, is it really? Every year we get one of these podcasts where things just line up. This is it.
8.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to see him returning to returning a top 10 tight end finish, let alone the tight end 3 without huge smoke and mirrors. 37 in October, right? That which is just kind of crazy to think about. The guy's been in the league for 14 years, but it only feels like he's been really fantasy relevant for 8 of those years, realistically.
Yeah, first 3 years were a wash.
Yeah. But you mentioned it, Patrick Mahomes, they've got that connection. Kelce seems to know where to sit down in the zone. They've got that mind melt, but Mahomes is coming off an ACL. Now things look good for him to be back, but what does that mean in terms of production for this offense in general? They should have Rashee Rice for a full season now, barring any other legal.
That hurts Travis Kelce, though, because when they've overlapped, it's been bad.
That's what I'm saying. They should have Rashee Rice for a full season. They finally have a legitimate rushing attack after years, after they signed Kenneth Walker, right? Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker. Can't call him time after. So everything is lined up for Kelce to finally see that steep decline that people have been predicting the last 2 years. I think he's going to be drafted higher than he should. I'm not sure where he's being drafted right now because he's Travis Kelce. I would say don't fall into that trap. There are
tight end 9, man. Tight end 9.
Okay. Well, I mean, still, I think there's better options if you're talking about tight ends in that range.
Like, what's Kelce's upside? I know we said last year he was tight end 3. That was weird. That was, Rice being suspended. That was, Xavier Worthy getting hurt because Kelce pretty much took a shoulder out. But like, if you take those games out, if you just go, and I know like once Mahomes got hurt, let's go with the healthy games from week 4 to week 10 before Mahomes got hurt. There's no way he was tight end 3. He was probably tight end 9, which is where you're drafting him at this year. I feel like you're drafting him at a ceiling, and his floor is like nothing. It doesn't exist because he might just be, he'll be a situational player for this team. And like, there's a chance that Noah Gray is actually better than him right now.
I don't know if I'd go that far. Noah Gray has had opportunity to step up, and he never really has. We've seen flashes here and there, but I don't think that he is a legitimate starting tight end in this league. That said, there's Xavier Worthy, assuming he's healthy, Rashee Rice being back, too much competition. And realistically, what do we expect from this passing game this year? They didn't sign Kenneth Walker to that deal to not utilize him.
Honest question for you. Full PPR this year, Travis Kelce or TJ Hawkinson? Yeah, think about it.
Kelce. I did have to think about it, but it's Kelce because of the touchdowns.
Give me TJ Hawkinson.
It's really unfair. It's my team. It's my quarterback. And if you guys do that, man, it's unfair. We lost as a team.
Shamrock, I actually was going to put an Evan Ingram blurb into the news items today, but I just felt like, what's the point? So he's asking, by the way, what's up, Shamrock? Evan Ingram was like a 5th-round pick last year. He was going tight end 6 last year. Do you think he could bounce back? So the new, I don't know if you saw the report today that, I don't know who, it was probably a beat reporter for the Broncos, said that don't be surprised if Adam Troutman out snaps Evan Ingram. Adam Troutman. I had him as a deep sleeper because he goes tight end 35 or whatever.
Troutman?
No, I had Evan Ingram in my list. Yeah. Just because where he went last year, and I feel like he still has some juice left in his game. But man, like Adam Troutman, like that is the definition of just a guy. I know he's a Sean Payton guy, but if they're running and Justin Jolly, if they're running a 3-way committee, they also said they want to play a bunch of 3 and 4 receiver sets because now they have the ability to do so with Pat Bryant and Marvin Mims. They like him.
Oh, they're going the other way, huh? Than the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, they're zagging, and Sean Payton wants to be smarter than everyone else, right? You can see him doing this, even though he's not. He's not, right?
So this is a bit of a sidebar, but this whole Jaguar situation has been bothering me for months since they drafted Nate Borgerture, right? This GM should be smarter than this. He's talking about, like, he comes out and says, this is the way the NFL is headed, so we need to get ahead of it. We need to have more blocking. We need to do more 2 tight end sets, 3 tight end sets, 12 and 13 personnel, et cetera, despite the fact that they signed Jacoby Myers. They have Parker Washington. They have Brian Thomas, and they drafted Travis Hunter 2 overall. I think they're going to get into a situation where they've got too much talent to not keep on the field. And Nate Borkercher, come on, Nate Borkercher is going to keep these guys off the field because they want to run 2 tight end sets. It's stupid. It's dumb. Like
it's like forcing the issue, right? It's like going to a draft being like, I really want to flex a tight end. Like, you do that if you have to. You shouldn't want to flex a tight end in fantasy. You also shouldn't be, unless you're Sean McVay, you should not be forcing 13 and 12 personnel. It's not, unless you have the actual personnel and you have the scheme to fit it. And I think Liam Cohen does. But the problem is they have wide receiver talent there. A lot of wide receiver talent there.
That's what sets Sean McVay's offense apart from all of these copycats is the guys that he's lining up. They might not be the most astounding tight end pass catchers, but every single one of those guys is a pass catcher in addition to an inline blocker, right?
Yes.
Ferguson's a pass catcher. What's his name?
Colby Parkinson.
Higby,
fucking Mauler.
Parkinson's a pass catcher. These other guys, Nate Borkercher caught like 12 passes last year.
He's essentially an extra offensive lineman. He's not Cole Kmet, he's a guy that's gonna be there blocking, which is fine, but you're tipping your hand, and why not just run a fullback out there at that point? It's wild. And, you can see Sean Payton trying to get ahead of it and go the other way because all these other teams are drafting. That's why we made the joke earlier in the draft process. 23 tight ends got drafted in the NFL draft. And wasn't it like 12 running backs got drafted? Like, it used to be the other way around. And every team just drafting all these inline tight ends. It's like, just draft a left tackle. Like, just draft some extra offensive line depth. Really, really weird stuff. Vegeta says in redraft, grab Kittle, finish with Tyreek Hill, throw him on IR, then grab Tunges. We love Jake Tunges.
19 catches for Borkercher last year.
19. Look at you. We love Jake Tunges in this program.
What's the question? A big fan. I was looking up something on Borkercher.
Vegeta says in redraft, grab Kittle and then throw also grab Tyreek Hill and then throw Tyreek on IR and grab Tunges.
Yeah, Tunges is like 70% ish of the production of Kittle.
So I was all about this early in the draft process when we thought that Kittle was going to go on IR because Kittle was going like tight end 14, and that just you could literally wait till outside the top 12. But thinking about it now, at tight end 9 or tight end 10 for Kittle, like the risk is you draft him and then you draft Tunges, and then you have like 3 or 4 weeks where Kittle's playing, but he's not playing up to full strength. And they're essentially cannibalizing each other. And you're not even getting a top 12 tight end. And we want either Kittle to be healthy or not playing if you have this strategy, because we want Tunges playing opposed to Kittle being 60%, right? Like, what are you going to get from George Kittle playing 31 snaps? You're not going to get tight end 1 numbers probably, especially if he's labored,
Yeah. I mean, also, this strategy is contingent upon you having an IR spot. In fact, 2 IR spots with Tyreek Hill. Although, if Hill's not on a roster, will he be designated IR by fantasy platforms? That's an interesting question.
Depends on the platform, man, but I don't think so. Let's see. Marvin Mims, let me draft him in the 4th round and Jonah Coleman in the 1st round for best ball. We had a guy do that, and our draft got thrown out. Great.
Yeah, what? I saw in the Discord.
When someone does something like that, they call it not collusion, but they're just like the integrity of the league is compromised when Marvin Mims goes in the 1st round. Or no, it was Jonah Coleman in the 1st round. And it was Marvin Mims in the 4th. Either way, insane stuff. Mal says, don't you people want to draft? Guys, after the show, we will do a draft. I'll start a separate stream. We need 9 more likes. We need 4 more subs. We need 16 more super chat dollars. Or we need somebody in here. Yeah, somebody in here to hop into Patreon. Join the community, and that'll get us another stream after this one. We have a couple names. I think just one more name to get to. We'll get to a couple comments. So we got a little bit of time. So, yeah, 4 subs. 9 likes, 16 super chat dollars, or anyone joining the community. Also, I do want to shout out Mouth of the South and Downtown Sports. If you guys are interested, check out Downtown Sports on YouTube, on 23 other platforms. Only 2 shows a week, guys, where sports come home. That is Beast and Mouth on YouTube. Go give them a listen, give them a like, give them a sub. This is Helen Hunt. We want to say hello to Helen Hunt. Haven't talked to her tonight. She looks better tonight than usual. I don't know what she did. Something different with her hair, I think. That smile, though, that $1 million smile. Also, If you guys are interested in joining the community, it's a great way to support the show, but you also get a lot of stuff back. I give a lot back to you guys. You get to get in the Discord, which is the place to be. Community fantasy leagues. We still have a couple openings in both redrafts. We have one opening in the Best Ball League. That's a $50 league on Sleeper. All the redrafts are done on leaguesafe.com. So the pay-ins and payouts all go through LeagueSafe. No Venmoing. Everyone gets paid out the day after the league ends. Guest appearance on the show. I want to shout out Keith, Super Beast, coming on last night, drafting 3 teams with us. Love having fans on the show. Also, free merchandise giveaways. We're giving away hats and shirts right here, baby. When you sign up, you're getting a hat, you're getting a shirt. So, also access to the betting plays, 96 and 58 last year on even odds player props. If you like to bet, yeah, it can be tough sometimes. Not if you're following my picks, because we win every single year, especially last year, guys. You would make a killing. And we do release the bets on Saturday night, but I bet these on Wednesday. You'll get the bets when I place them in the Discord with receipts, with the betting app I'm using, whether it's DraftKings or FanDuel or Bet365 or MGM. You're getting the exact odds, place them at the same time, have the same record, have the same returns that we're getting on this program. Go over to professionalfanatics.com. Go to the link in the description. Join it up, guys. We have about 6.5 weeks until the regular season starts. Maybe it's 6 weeks. Maybe it's 7 weeks. It's coming soon, Storey. It is coming, man.
It's coming. It's going to be here before we know it. In fact, what did we find out about the Hall of Fame game? August 6th?
It is coming, and I also want to shout out all the people in there right now. You know who you are. Appreciate everybody supporting your boys here. So thank you again. You guys know I appreciate it. Let's get to a couple comments before we get to our last name. He's injured, so probably week 6, 8. It's why teams don't want him. Oh, Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is probably week 10, dude. If Zach Charbonnet is coming back week 10, I think Tyreek Hill is gonna be out.
Yeah,
later. I'm not touching Tyreek Hill. Are you? I just don't see the point.
No, there's no point. You want to keep a guy on your IR spot for 10 weeks when you're gonna have injuries that you need to utilize those spots for anyway.
Are you staying away from Dak Prescott? Because there's a whole thing of even odd years, and that I don't buy into that.
No, but, I don't care. I don't care about that. The defense is going to be better, and that's going to take. It's really good. The defense is going to impact the offense more than people think. This will still be a good offense, but it won't be a top 5 offense.
We did Vegas versus ADP part 2 with Hastings, and I specifically highlighted Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, and Jared Goff. And they all were within they're all the top 3 passing yard lines. And they were all within 100 yards of each other, 4,050 yards or so. I think Joe Burrow's is low probably because they're baking an injury more with him than the other guys. But they were all at 30 touchdown passes. So they all were essentially, Vegas is saying they're going to have the same passing seasons. And, none of them really have rushing upside. I think Burrow and Dak have more than Jared Goff. But Jared Goff goes quarterback 16. Dak goes quarterback 9, quarterback 8, and Burrow's quarterback 5. So it's almost like, and I want to draft Burrow this year. So I think there's a chance that he blows the fuck up and has 50 touchdowns. But the answer is probably just draft Jared Goff. If you're drafting a pocket quarterback, you can wait 7 rounds later and get Jared Goff as quarterback 16.
I think the answer is probably Tyler Shuck, realistically. You know what I heard today? I heard that if you look at the sports books, Tyler Shuck has better odds to throw for 4,500 yards than either Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or Caleb Williams.
Yeah, his yardage total is super high, but his touchdown total is really low. So his touchdown totals are 18. When these other guys are at, 25, 26 with some better rushing stuff, even though Tyler Shuck's a scrambler. That's the concern, right? It's the yards is cool, but I want touchdowns from my quarterback. That's where the money's made. That's how you become a top 10 quarterback. But Tyler Shuck getting drafted quarterback 18, pretty goddamn juicy.
Yeah, it is.
I might want to bet the under on Tyler Shuck, though, because unlike these other quarterbacks we're talking about, there's no world where Caleb Williams is getting benched this year. There's no world where Josh Allen's getting benched this year. There is a world where Tyler Shuck gets benched this year.
True. Yeah, that is true.
You mix that with injury. Everyone has a chance to get injured. You mix injuries with, let's call it a 10% chance. I think that's fair that Tyler Shuck gets benched. It's got to be in the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, the question is, it's not like they took a replacement and they're going to go back to Spencer Rattler. That was an abject disaster. So realistically, 10-15%, I think. They understand that this is still a pretty bad roster, and it's still Tyler Shuck, right? So he's going to get some leeway, but the leash is not infinite.
He's also a geezer, dude. He should be on this list. Tyler Shuck should be on this list. Isn't he 26 as a second-year player?
Yeah,
dude. I'm just saying that's like he is what 2 years older than Caleb. I mean, is he the same? Is he like Bo Nix is an old rookie too? But is Trevor Lawrence the same age as Tyler Shuck?
Dude, Trevor Lawrence was super young when he came.
Yeah, can you look this up real quick? How old is I think Trevor Lawrence might be younger than Tyler Shuck.
Trevor Lawrence, 26, born October 6, 99.
So he's a half year older than Shuck.
Shuck age. Tyler Shuck, 26. Born September 28th, 1999.
No
Shuck
way,
is
dude.
older than Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, is Trevor Lawrence going into his 6th NFL season? That's correct. 6th season.
By 8 days. What?
That's what I'm saying. The Tyler Shuck thing, like 2nd round pick's nice, but like he's an older prospect. And like they're not tied to Tyler Shuck, guys. They're not. He's old, man. Like he's old. His old wrinkly balls.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25. This will be Trevor Lawrence's 6th season.
He's old.
I'm grateful for every moment I have.
Grateful? How can you be grateful when you're so close to the end? When you know that any second, poof, bam, oh, it could all be over. It's a matter of simple arithmetic, for God's sake.
I guess I just don't care.
What are you talking about? How can you sit there and look me in the eye and tell me that you're not worried?
Jonathan says, fun little take here. We could live in a world that Stroud finishes better than Shuck in fantasy. I don't think it's even that crazy. Because, I mean, we all agree that CJ Stroud getting drafted quarterback 5 after his rookie year was just insane, just based on the archetype of player that CJ Stroud is. He's not a scrambler. He's an aggressive passer at the end zone, but the defense is always so good. But, like, the fact that we had a year where he was drafted as a top 5 quarterback, and now he's getting drafted quarterback 24 every year, like, Stroud is definitely better than quarterback 24. He has not been recently because his play's been bad. Offensive line's been awful. Weapons have been hurt. But, like, we all agree that CJ Stroud's still a franchise quarterback, right? Like, he's not great, but he wins a playoff game every year. We can't let's acknowledge that.
Oh, yeah. I 100% in agreement. Him being drafted at quarterback 4 or 5 or whatever it was for a rookie year, that was wish casting. And then he was still being drafted relatively highly last year. I don't know where he's being drafted relative to Tyler Shuck, though.
CJ Stroud is quarterback 23, 24. Shuck is quarterback 18. So they're pretty close, but Shuck goes 30 picks higher in best ball.
30 picks higher, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's rushing upside with Shuck. We saw that. 450 rushing yards is an upside. That's what he was on pace for last year.
And the design runs. I read the stat that in the 7 starts, he had 45 design runs. Wow. That's big time. That's like Lamar Jackson shit, man.
I was going to say, that's Lamar Jackson. That would be ideal for Jackson Dart. That would catapult Jackson Dart into top 6 consideration, right? If they did more design stuff and they got away from him scrambling, I would love for that.
Well, they can't do design stuff. Which they do around the goal line, but if they do that, like, he will literally die because he's going to scramble enough on his own. You know what I mean?
You see the backflip with Cam Scatterbo at Fanatics?
Yeah, it didn't look great. At least he attempted it. No, the fact that he attempted it is good, you know?
Yeah, but what are you doing, dude? Like, there's no upside. What's the upside there?
Would it surprise you if, you know how Netflix is the special, the what's the guy's name, the free solo guy? If Cam Scatterbo Netflix special comes out next month and Cam Scatterbo's like free soloing a building. You know what I mean? Like, dude, check it out, guys. Like, I'm gonna backflip off this motherfucker. Like, Cam Scatterbo is a wild dude. Love him. I love him though.
Alex Hanold is the free solo.
Yeah, so he's gonna get in with Alex, and he's gonna start free soloing buildings and shit. HVY says Matthew Stafford goats. No, I think we all forget how average Matt Stafford was in Detroit, and that's a bad situation, Detroit. But he had Calvin Johnson. Like, Matt Stafford, how many playoff wins did he have?
He also dealt with some of the most inept. What the heck was that guy's name? Head coach, 2 before Dan Campbell, younger guy. I'll look it up. He was a wiener. A terrible head coach. He dealt with some absolutely atrocious.
I get it, but
he is a goat. He's not like the goat, but he's a goat. He's a warrior. I love Matthew Stafford.
I love Matt Stafford. I'm just saying, like, he's not up there with Aaron Rodgers, dude. He's not.
No, I don't know, man.
He has the same amount of titles, same amount of championships.
Yeah, they do. Right? Let's not discount that. Aaron Rodgers
sustained excellence from Aaron Rodgers, man.
1 Super Bowl ring. Roethlisberger's got 2 Super Bowl rings.
I don't judge on Super Bowl rings, as you know. Aaron Rodgers is top 3 I've ever seen play, and Matt Stafford's in the top 10 conversation. He's definitely a Hall of Famer now because of longevity now, right? But no, there was the conversation before, right when he got to the Rams, he was a borderline Hall of Famer. He wouldn't have made the Hall of Fame if he didn't go to the Rams. He would have been Phillip Rivers, right? Had he not gone to the Rams.
Is Rivers going to the Hall of Fame, do you think? I mean,
Rivers' numbers are awesome, dude. Like he always would lose in the first round of the playoffs, but
2009, Jim Schwartz. What an absolute clown that guy was.
Yeah, Jim Schwartz. Max says I know it's early. Most of these guys get a contract, but 2027 free agency looks wild. Baker, JT, Chase Brown, Puka, George Pickens, Olave, Adams, Kraft, Laporta, Hawkinson. I love how I mentioned Hawkinson. Hell yeah, bro. Thanks, man. You know what? That's the fucking prime tight end 1. He's gonna get paid. There was a report out that the Bengals are debating. It's weird to have this report out now. They're gonna probably franchise Chase Brown next year, which is weird. They put that out now. It's like, why would you even put that out for Chase Brown? Because they're not paying him clearly this year, so then they're going to franchise tag him. But Chase Brown would probably take that because not a highly drafted player. It's big money for 1 year if you get franchised. It's like
we keep waiting for Chase Brown to get replaced in the draft, and it has yet to happen. I mean, undrafted or unrestricted free agent, he's only making 3.5 this year, something like that. Like he's not for them to jump to what it would cost to keep him. What's the franchise for running backs? 12 million?
Probably no, it's probably more than that. It's top 5, and we said JT was 7th at 14, 15 million. It's probably 16 million.
Okay.
Or it will be next year, right?
It's a big jump for a guy that was drafted in the 3rd round out of Illinois. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he'll take that. Where the other guy, Jonathan Taylor, should not take that money. Like he's, a blue chip player that's earned the right. Appreciate it, Vegeta. I appreciate everyone just considering it, and just talk to me, email me. My email is on the Patreon if you just want to chat, and we'll figure something out when it's closer to the season. A couple big hits, and that old man will start audibling. Are we talking about Matt Stafford?
14.3 million is the for the 2026 franchise tag, so it'll go up next year.
Yeah, Miles says every Scatabo vid makes me draft more Tracy.
He's not wrong. Like, I love Scatabo, and I do want him on my roster, but the dude is a bit of a loose cannon right now. And he was knocked as nuts at Arizona State. I don't know what's going on.
And we also mentioned he's going to start free soloing. So, I mean, that's going to happen. And, it won't be an injury. It'll be death. Because if you fall from free soloing, guess what? You're not coming back from that. Maybe Cam Scatabo would. It's kind of like Harrison Ford in The Fugitive when he jumps out of that the dam. He survives without a scratch. You've seen The Fugitive, right?
This guy right here did a Peter Pan over this dam right here.
There's a dude. I was watching it the other day, and I was reading into it because I was like, how do they even sell this? Like Harrison Ford survived this jump, and there's a whole website dedicated to how Harrison Ford survived this in the movie. They're like, there was a tree branch and he grabbed onto it. And then he knew how to cause he was a doctor and a surgeon, he knew how to tuck and roll essentially and not hurt his vital organs. I was like, none of that was in the fucking movie. There was no tree branch.
You know what the real answer is? It's a movie. So
it's a realistic movie set in Chicago, by the way, an all-time Chicago flick there.
My wife and I quote that movie to each other all the time. You know the scene where he's in the jail and he's interviewing the black guy, the one-armed guy, and then he passes with Tommy Lee Jones, and they run down different stairs, and then he's like, officer, there's a man in a blue trench coat waving a gun and yelling at a woman.
Yeah. You know what the wildest part of that movie is the interrogation, how they breeze over the whole legal stuff. And if he had just waited a year, then OJ would have happened, and then he would have been, exonerated because of DNA evidence. But because it's 93, but he should have realized in the moment when he says it's a one-armed man, they're not going to believe him. He should have maybe not mentioned the one-arm part. He should have been there's something wrong with his arm, but don't say one-armed man. That literally sounds like you're guilty.
You find that man. You find that man.
You find that one-armed man. Ended up being a one-armed man though, so pretty.
Evan McGregor could give you Provasic. He falsified his research.
That's just so.
It's such a quotable movie. It's that and A Few Good Men, and My Cousin Vinny. Top 3 quotable movies.
They're not the most. No, Superbad's more quotable than all those, dude.
Superbad's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Quotability.
Jonathan says, wait, there's no IR spot for death if Cam eats it in our Dynasty League. You know what? You might be able to Mouth might trade for him, though. Mouth would be like, there might be some value here. You know, maybe they can resurrect him, and Mouth will trade for anyone. Mouth loves trading. So maybe you can get like a 7th rounder, even though we don't have 7th rounders. He can try to finagle something there. All right, let's get to the last name story.
I really shouldn't mention this on the internet, but we did a last Thanksgiving. I was with some friends, and we had a few bottles of wine and other liquors, and we created a death pool.
I love death pools.
Oh, we're terrible at it. We haven't gotten a single one yet.
What was it? Like, who did you guys pick? Just like the
I'd
oldest
have
people,
to pull it
or
up. What? No, it was like realistic.
Like, did you pick like Bam Margera?
No, I mean realistic, realistic options. We'll talk about it offline. I don't really
Did you pick Tua? That'd be a good pick.
Is Scannable, does he have the highest odds to be dead before the
No,
start?
Tua is still number 1, dude.
Why? Oh, because of the brain thing.
Yeah, the brain. Yeah, the whole this thing. All right, last name here before we get off. We have George Kittle.
Georgie boy.
Talked about a little earlier. Tight end 9 for George Kittle. Kelsey was tight end 10, by the way. Tight end 9 for George Kittle. He's going to be 33 years old in October. Tore his Achilles in January. 10th NFL season. Guy's a warrior, though. But what is your concern level for George Kittle? I think we might match in this one.
I went back and forth because of the cost relative to his previous year's production, but the injuries, I ended up at a 7.
I had 6. Okay. Right there.
My initial gut was a 5, then I went to an 8, and then I landed on a 7. Listen, when he's healthy, he's an elite fantasy option. There's no question about it. There's nobody else on that roster that touches his fantasy relevancy other than Christian McCaffrey. But since 2020, there's only been one season where he didn't finish in, So to back that up, since 2020, there's only been one season where he didn't finish in the top 5 in PPR points per game at the position. But that when healthy, that's carrying a lot of weight because he's missed time in all 6 of the last years. And I'm not just talking about the Achilles injury, right? He missed 6 games last year before the Achilles injury. And that's not even really the big deal for me. He gets nicked up a lot. You just understand that. You deal with that. You stream tight end until he gets healthy. It's been the George Kittle story. But he tore his Achilles on January 11th or whatever it was. And granted, there's been no shortage of reports about his rehab, multiple reports indicating that he thinks that San Francisco thinks he could be flying with the team to Melbourne to play in week 1. But let's be realistic. What's more likely, that he ends up on the PUP or that he flies to Australia to play in week 1?
Me and Nick talked about this, and Nick O is our 49ers consultant. They're going to probably, if he is ready to start the year, what's best for everybody is they don't fly him over there. He misses week 1, and then you get the 10 days off because that's an early game. That's that's first, second game of the year. And then you get 10 days off, 9 days off, and then he's ready for week 2. That gives him a full, 9 days off. You don't have to worry about the cross world flight, which is insane. They're making them do that early in the year. That's a whole different argument, but that's what's most likely. I would probably bet on week 2 for George Kittle. The reports are really good.
First of all,
Vegeta says,
hang on. Well, this is going back to grinding my gears. Opening night is Wednesday this year. Yeah. What the hell are you doing, NFL? Wednesday. Now you're creeping into our Wednesdays? You've already got Saturdays when the college football is not in season, right? You got Christmas and Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, and Fridays, Wednesdays. You're creeping in on Wednesdays. Yeah. Get out of here, Goodell.
Tuesdays will be there too. We have that with it wasn't DeMar Hamlin debated on doing the Tuesday game.
Yeah,
they'll do Tuesdays too.
Tuesday, et cetera. That was a weird.
They should have. That lost me a lot of fucking money. God damn it.
Anyway,
bullshit.
Yeah, I just think it's more likely that he ends up on PUP than he's playing by week 2. I mean, realistically, and this is going to be his 10th year. He's turning 33, and at the risk of sounding redundant, he just tore his Achilles tendon. And for the millionth time, I understand it's the good kind of the Achilles tear, right? They didn't have to drill into the bone.
It's the good Hodgkins, right?
Et cetera. But and granted, some of that injury uncertainty is baked into his ADP. You would never see Kittle this low, but much younger players have taken longer to recover from a very similar injury, and it's been a while. The ramp up time is it's still a month, 2 months before he's close to being 100%. I think the Niners can play it safe with him. They got Tunjas on the roster. Mentioned he's 75%, 70% of Kittle right there. They need Kittle more in December than they need him in September. Everything's rainbows and puppy dogs and roses right now, but they're playing for the playoffs. And that just happens to be a different calendar than what fantasy players are playing for. Make sense?
I get all what you're saying, but what doesn't make sense is I know the Niners are a juggernaut. They're always competitive. This division does not allow you to just coast to the start of the year. I mean, the defending Super Bowl champions are in this division. And yes, they might have gotten a little worse. You know who got a little better? In my mind, the best team in football last year, or the second best team, I think it was the Seahawks. I think it was the Rams. The Rams got a hell of a lot better.
On
Okay?
defense in particular.
So, Puka he's got to play hard. He's got to play for this contract. That's a whole different conversation. But this offense is going to be good. This defense is going to be good. You can't just coast the start of the year. If you start off 4-4, you might miss the playoffs. The NFC is good, man. Like, look at the NFC North. You might have 3 playoff teams from the NFC North. So you're not guaranteed to get that wild card spot. And the schedule is really tough. Just playing those 2 teams twice, that's 4 games. If you're sleepwalking and you don't have your full health, like, who knows? Ricky Pearsall might have a goddamn soft tissue injury in training camp. Like, would that surprise you?
No.
Mike Evans might have one. Like, CMC, there's just a lot of injury risk in this team, and old players, like, they have to play for now. And I get what you're saying. You want to hold them out. You need them for the playoffs. If you're too careful with Kittle, you won't make the playoffs. And then what did you do?
If you're too aggressive with Kittle, then he gets re-injured and he gets shut down for the rest of the year, and now you don't have him, period. Like, if there was no Jake Tunjas on this roster, I would agree with you. But the fact is, I think that they like this. I mean, realistically, this team has more experience with injuries than virtually any other team, except maybe the Giants, right? Like, I think they know how to handle this kind of situation.
Could you imagine if the Niners had to play at MetLife? They would have no roster. They would have an entire team. Their practice squad would be their fucking active roster. And thank God they don't play there.
They changed the turf. They changed it from turf to grass at MetLife for the World Cup, and then they immediately went and changed it back.
And we talked about this. Like, it's one thing, and this was a poor team, like one team. Both New York teams share the same fucking stadium. They got to split the cost. So if it's $100 million, which I'm guessing it wouldn't be that much money, it would be $50 million per team. Where the Bengals, for instance, who would be a team that wouldn't do it because they're cheap, they would have to pay the $100 million. The Jets and Giants have to split the cost. And like, they're being cheap on this thing. Like, I hate when corporations go cheap. When like rich, like, what are you doing,
dude? Like that is the world that we live in right now. It's late stage capitalism. It's everything's getting shittier. You heard about what's happening with ice cream, right?
No.
So first of all, shrinkflation has affected, like it affects everything, where it used to be a pint. A lot of them are 14 ounces now. So you're losing 2 ounces for the same price. Also, go to your store and go look at the ice cream aisle and look for the difference between ice cream and like dairy product. If you see dairy product on there, that means that company has changed the ratio of ingredients. So they're using cheaper ingredients first, high fructose corn syrup, versus what is legally considered enough percentage-wise of milk, fat, and cream, etc., in order to be considered ice cream. That's why a lot of things are labeled like frozen dairy products now, because they don't meet the legal requirements for ice cream because it's cheaper to manufacture. Also, you see something that says like double churned or slow churned. You know what that means? That means that they're spending more time putting air into ice cream. That's how ice cream gets its creamy texture, right? You put air into it, but air is free. So you put more air into it, right? You slower, you put more air into it. You can put less volume in the same packaging and charge the same amount.
By the way, have you not seen Arnold Schwarzenegger in Mars? Air is not free. Okay. Quaid knows this. Total Recall. Air is not free. All right.
I was just on the other day. Good movie.
Mouse says 8th day of the week sponsored by ... just to get one more game. So the NFL is essentially going to add another day of the week. It's going to be called NFL Day, and they're just going to have a streaming game on Peacock or some shit.
Outstanding. Oh, yeah. How many streaming services do I have to sign up for now in order to watch all NFL games this year?
Well, Storey, you're still Amish and you still have cable, so that's on you. I don't have to pay for shit, bro. Even the Netflix game is on my box. Even though everyone has Netflix. So why wouldn't you?
Although I my wife out of a believe it or not, we still have a landline.
Well, that's safe because that's a security thing, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, it is nice to have a backup in case the cell networks go down.
So she still wants cable?
She works from home, so she has like Friends and The Office and Big Bang Theory on all the time, and I like it too because I like just throwing on movies when I'm doing stuff. Like
you can find those on other things, you know.
Yeah, I know, but it's nice sometimes to like not have to seek out and find something I want to watch. I can just be like, oh, A Few Good Men is on, or oh, like a horror movie's on, or whatever it is.
Yeah, you know what I have in my box is pretty awesome. There's a 24/7 like channel where it's 24/7 channels where there's like 300 options. You can watch 24/7 Matrix, you can watch 24/7 Breaking Bad, and you just put that channel on, same exact thing, free. Just food for thought, you know?
Yes, but with our current package, we get a Star Trek channel, so there's Star Trek on all the time.
There's a 24/7 Star Trek channel, man. Like, I'm shitting on your cable. You know, you're just pay me that money. I'll get you a box and then I'll make all the money off you.
Because we did get 2 free tickets because we've been Comcast customers for 19 years or whatever. I got 2 free tickets to Universal Studios. So when we went for Disney last month, we went to Universal Studios, Florida.
Yeah, in 19 years, you've probably paid like 30 grand for that cable. So you paid 30 grand for Universal Studios.
Those are free tickets, god darn it.
Downtown Sports is going to cover the ice cream topic. We just talked about a bunch of random shit.
The
frozen
the world.
Mouse says the death of ESPN by its own hand. You heard about Ryan Clark getting fired, right? On air, apparently. Pretty good. Finally. God damn it. That guy's an idiot.
Yeah. It's kind of out of nowhere. Like, I don't know there was rumored that was going to happen.
This is a good comment here. John that says Storey's the type of guy that still uses a paper TV guide, just like Frank Costanza, you know, like you're collecting TV guides. Or are you the one that still jerks off to magazines, dude?
I have a particularly explosive ejaculate. It just goes everywhere. It's like a fucking wild fireman's hose. You just gotta grab on and pray to God it doesn't get in your eyes or your mouth. You think that's the only thing I jerked off in here? I've been dropping loads around this fucking house like a goddamn dump truck. You don't come on my stuff. I'll come wherever the fuck I want, James. I'll fucking come in your kitchen. I'll come on your fucking art. I'll come anywhere I want. I will fucking come right on you. I will come like a fucking madman all over you, McBride. Ooh, I fucking wish you'd come on me right now. I fucking dare you to come on me.
That's a good movie. I should watch that movie.
I cut out one of the best parts. I didn't want it too long, but it's like you're jerking off to magazines. Like you're still jerking your dick like a pilgrim. Like that's exactly. So you don't use magazines though, Luis. We got that.
No, I don't. The internet is a wild. It's an absolute wild west of free.
Yeah,
I don't understand people who pay for like the porn industry is massive in terms of the amount. I'm not talking about like magazines, which I understand. People like a physical magazine every once in a while. But I'm just talking about like the sites. Like there's got to be 4 million porn
Brazzers or whatever. Like, why are you paying for that? No, okay, that's actually dumber. I think paying for a site is the dumbest thing, and I'm not a fan. Like, obviously, the whole what the hell is the site that I should be doing? That people fucking like pay for a chick. My brain's fried. OnlyFans, yeah. Okay, so OnlyFans. I'm not saying it makes sense, but like there's a connection level, right, of OnlyFans where it's like, okay, I can pay this girl whatever, but like even that is insane because you can just watch. Like maybe she'll do special things for you, but she doesn't care about you. Why are you doing it? Why?
To be fair, the same can be said for strip clubs, right? Guys go to strip clubs on a regular basis and feel that. I mean,
at least that's real, though. It's not real, but at least it's like a physical thing. And yes, I'm not. I've been to one strip club in my life, maybe two in my life. I've gotten one lap dance though. That's because I'd rather spend my money. I could rather if I go out and hunt. I'm not the best looking guy. I don't have the best like. I'm gonna get turned down a lot, but I'm a try hard dude. I'm gonna fucking try so hard, and I don't mind porking a fatty. So I'd rather do that. Like, what would you rather do? I know you're more elitist than I am in terms of probably picky. Would you rather go to a strip club or pork a fatty? The answer is probably neither for you, but you'd rather pork a fatty, right?
I go to strip clubs all the time, not because I particularly enjoy them, but I have a close friend in my life who his stress relief is going to strip clubs, and he'll talk me into it. And a lot of times he'll pay for a lap dance or two or whatever it is, and I'm not gonna turn it down. Like it's his stress relief, so it doesn't really get my jollies on, or get my jollies off, whatever. But I get it. The thing, like the regulars that go there all the time, thinking they're making an emotional connection with a stripper or a couple of strippers. That's those guys. I feel bad for those guys.
For a lot of reasons. Like that's just a depressing fucking place, dude. Like I watch a lot of Forensic Files because my wife loves that show. You know what's wild? My wife, by the way, Connor, that just got us a draft. We're $1 short, whatever. We'll do it after this. I also owe a beer chug. Thank you, my dude. And he says he's gonna be at Wrigley in a few weeks. Cardinals gonna fuck the Cubs up. Bro, you're coming up my way. You might pass my house the way you're coming up from St. Louis. Stop by, bro. We'll have a beer. On me, by the way. But you got it. Close friend, quote unquote close friend, is your alter ego. Don't lie. His name is Mikkel. But no, so my wife loves Forensic Files, which is the weirdest thing. She falls asleep to it. And the guy's got kind of a relaxing voice, but like everything is just like sexual assault, murder, all those things. It's like, what kind of dreams are you having, for one? And I've watched a lot of the Forensic Files episodes because she's one that just like puts something on and falls asleep. And she like doesn't like me to. I'll try to put Seinfeld on and she'll hear the music. She's like, put back on Forensic Files. So I've watched like almost every episode because I just don't sleep very much. And I've seen a lot of them where it's like this guy had this emotional connection with this stripper and then like realized it was fake and then murders her. Like a story as old as time. It's like this dude thought he was going to date this 48-year-old fat dude that's wears sweatpants and has stains on his shirt. Thought this 24-year-old actually liked him. And then once he spent $20,000 on her and it's like, okay, can you move in with me? She's like, take a hike, and the bouncers kick him out, and then he murders her. That's like the story. It's been like 10 episodes, dude. And like these dudes are fucking wacky. I don't get it.
I have another friend, again, different friend, who, again, this is not me. I swear to God, this is not me. But I have a different friend who years ago, he started dating a stripper. He ended up paying her rent for like 2 months. Like just straight up paying her rent.
I dated a drink girl, essentially a stripper, but she had to wear, she wasn't totally naked, but she was like, had like 10% coverage. Right. Yeah. And she was 18 and a half, like almost 19. I want to preface it with this. She was 18 and a half. I was 25 and she was doing it like 2 days. So I would like drop her off at work and shit. And didn't feel great about it, but had a nice rockin' bod. She was very dumb.
Where? Blackjacks?
No, this was in like Schaumburg or some shit. I don't fucking know, bro. That was a long time ago, but it was, she was a drink girl. Okay. So it'd be nice to say if I did date a stripper, but like, she might as well have been a stripper. She's probably a stripper now. That's my guess.
Inevitably, probably. I don't want to judge anybody's. Listen,
she moved to Florida. So, I mean, she's in Florida. So
if you want to make money being a stripper, go nuts. If you want to make money being a prostitute, first of all, I think prostitution should be legalized across this entire country. Allow people the ability to make money however they want. It's their body. Also, if you legalize it, do you know what you do? You take the stigma and the crime out of it, right? A lot of sexual assaults happen to prostitutes because they don't want to go to the police. If you allow them to organize, you allow for like health insurance, screenings, it's safer for everybody if we just legalize it. Again, not my bag, but I understand the reasoning behind it. And then you got all hoity-toity old white politicians who are like, no, God darn it, this is a Christian society. We won't dare talk about prostitutes, blah, blah, blah.
You know who would be really, really happy if they legalized that? Robert Kraft. He would just be in heaven. He's like, all right, I can just live my life day to day and not worry about getting busted in a massage parlor.
I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so having said that, I want me some glory hole.
At construction jobs, it's just adult daycare. You know what I always say? Like a lot of single moms out there, it's hard to work a full-time job and afford your kid and give them a good life. Being a stripper, you work 15 hours a week and you make like $3,000. Like the people that are getting exploited are the men that are paying $2,000 a month to see some boobies. Like, dude, boobies.
It depends. There's some pretty seedy places, right? Like, also, if you're stripping in,
where can you tell me where they are so I can go? Where are they? Those are the ones you could throw $40.
Birmingham, Alabama, or in some cases like East St. Louis. Probably not making $15,000 a month.
Deshaun Watson would definitely love that. Because he doesn't have to lie and say he's getting a massage anymore. He just says, you know what? I'm going to the whorehouse.
Oh, that would be awesome. Thank you.
So
because,
good.
you know, we're worried about that. That would be great. Plus, you know, you scratch our backs, we'll scratch yours.
Well, Jules, the funny thing about my back is that it's located on my cock.
Deshaun Watson. I think Robert Kraft should sign Deshaun Watson because he sympathizes with the guy. He's like, he's not a bad dude. He did nothing wrong.
Well, in this case, he empathizes with him, right? Because he's been in the same situation.
Connor says $2K a month, rookie numbers, $2K a night's more like it. And that's actually probably more realistic. But
Rookie numbers, you got to pump those numbers up.
Oh, you know how gross that is when, you know, like losing money in Vegas is one thing, but you actually know what you're signing up for and there's a chance you win. Like after a night at the strip club, you don't even get released most likely, and you're spending money to leave just feeling like shit about yourself.
I mean,
that's issues. That's depression right there, dude.
You probably would get kicked out if you release. But it just. But
well, no, there's private rooms. There's private rooms.
Well, yeah, okay, but especially
Pee-wee Herman got arrested for that. That was
he got arrested
theater, though.
because he was in a public movie theater.
Yeah, he thought it was back in the day with the old porn theaters. Now, I want to go back to those days, dude. You got a guy to your right, a guy to your left. They're all wearing trench coats and fucking bucket hats, and just
you don't want to go back to the 70s. You don't want to go back to
everyone's wearing you know the little glasses you can buy that have the nose on it with the mustache. Every guy, they sell those in the gift shop at the fucking porn theater. Like everyone's wearing them, and it's like I could tell it's you, Storey. You're like, nope, not me.
50 cents. I wasn't there.
Yeah. Well, no, it was your alter ego that was there. It wasn't ever you. You have a dirty twin, dude. That guy does a lot of fucked up shit.
Some people think that we look like brothers.
Dude, there is an upside of having a twin though, because you can literally pawn it off. And I've heard some stories about, you know, mostly it's probably more so guys doing it than girls, but like identical twins, like being like throwing favors, be like, all right, you can have my girl and I can have your girl for a night. I've heard stories of this.
Do the women know this?
No, because how would they? Identical twins. Like, I don't know about the Johnson. I don't know how that like is perfect. Is it the same? But it probably would be, right? A twin.
I think if you're around twins long enough, you can tell the difference between. I used to, when I was younger, there was 2 doors down. There was a set of twins that I would babysit for, and you could easily tell the difference between them. Also, don't do that if you have a twin, because that's rape, like by definition, and morally, that's very wrong. So don't do that.
Well, it's not as bad as Revenge of the Nerds.
That is definitely rape. That movie's glorified rape for years.
Dude, how bad is that movie, dude? Like that is like Animal House is rough. Like that is like cancel culture. Like would just go crazy on that movie right now. Like
I know
the director would be put to death.
Animal House is a good movie. I don't even think that is that good of a movie.
Animal House is pretty good, man.
Yeah.
When you phone Story, when you phone a friend, does your own phone ring? All right. I'm going to, thanks to Connor. Appreciate you. We're going to do a draft. So I'm going to let Story go. Give me about 10 minutes, guys. We'll do 12:50 p.m. Central, and we'll hop in a draft. Story, you're the man. Really wild end of the show, but we haven't had one of those in a while. So
it has been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's nice to not just have talk business the whole time, right? We can let it loose a little bit, and we covered a lot of fucking ground there, dude.
It's so awesome when everybody's in the comments having fun along with us. So appreciate everybody sticking around.
Yeah, I don't think Flock would ever do anything like that.
Probably not. He probably wouldn't go to a strip club in East St. Louis, though. So
he'd be like, if you actually figure it out and you spend $2,000 at a strip club in a night and you multiply it by pi, in reality, you only spent $150 per tip. So that actually is a decent investment.
With today's gas prices, you can't afford not to go to a strip club.
Oh God. All right. Great show. Story gonna be back on Thursday, and we're doing unbuzzed players, guys that we haven't particularly talked about a lot, guys that aren't getting a lot of steam. Almost like post-hype sleepers, but I want to do unbuzzed players because I don't like the post-hype sleeper term.
Yeah. Looking good. Looking forward to it.
All right. That's it.
Thanks,
we'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Thank you, Story. Love your life. Stay positive and respect each other. We are out.
You just seem like a good dude. I thought I'd see if you wanted to grab a beer, that's all. I'm glad you called. We get home safe, Pistol.
You got it, Jobin.
I'm sorry, what? Nothing. Oh, what'd you say?
I don't know.